everybody, and welcome to episode 42, this time I got it right, of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who are the truck drivers with me tonight?
Trucker Stefan JD.
Crossroad truck driver Stuart Hughes.
Ice trucker Adam.
I thought for a second, Stu, you were going to say cross-dresser. I'm like, okay, but that's
Cross-dress trucker. Yeah, I'm the trucker from Always Sunny. Oh God, who did play that? I can't remember who played the trucker in Always Sunny now. It's a famous actor. He picks up Dennis and Charlie, and he's just like, back in the day, I would have let you two take me to a motel room and split me asunder. And they're just staring at him like, but not anymore. I will not suck on you and not be sucked on by you. Fuck, who did play that fucking trucker?
If only we had the ability to look things up.
I'm looking it up now because it's an actor that I quite enjoy.
All right. First, I wanted to say welcome to our week 6 Spooktober, the end of our fucking Spooktober. Thank God.
Tom Sizemore.
I had enough horror games. That's all I got to say. Enough horror everything. I'm ready for nice peacefulness coming up here.
The end of our horror games.
Yes. And actually, who wants to introduce this lovely game that we picked? I don't remember who picked it, to be honest, if it was me or not.
Stefan picked this one.
I don't remember.
For our audience's sake, let me just say that we picked these games quite a long time ago, because we're nearing the end of like our quote unquote season 3.
Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2.
This is the end of season 2.
And so we picked these games back in like August.
No, God, no. We picked this back in March or April.
Yeah.
DJ was still on the team, so
it's hard to remember which games you picked.
I have most of it in my head. But actually, I got an idea. Hey, Adam, do you want to introduce what lovely game we're playing?
Yeah, easily. I can easily do that one. So the game that we played is Silent Hill Origins. PSP game originally came out in like November 2007. As the name states, this was the 5th game, I think, in the series, and went back to its roots and explained everything that happened in Silent Hill before Silent Hill 1.
I just had a quick question. So if Adam is driving an ice truck, is that where all the fog's coming from?
Yeah. He actually, he didn't even crash his truck. He just leaves his truck on the side of the road. So for all we know, it's still there.
That is fair.
Sorry.
Travis is the Resident Evil protagonist of Silent Hill protagonist.
This was also made by Climax Action, their first Silent Hill game, and then published by Konami. We should say that too.
Mm-hmm.
So this came out right before Homecoming. This was in between the release. This was actually
Did anyone play this before? I should ask that question.
I thought I had played it before, but there was definitely some puzzles in the game that I would have remembered. And so I think this was my first time actually ever playing it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
First time for me, too.
All of our first time.
I played a little bit of it a long-ass time ago, but I never beat it. So I was happy to go back and finish it.
Mm.
This was interesting game. For one thing, the story starts off, we kind of mentioned this is a prequel to the original Silent Hill, as it says in the title, Origins.
Yeah.
It
literally ends right before Silent Hill 1. The extended story of Silent Hill 1 starts off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ends with Cheryl being given to James and what's-her-face Mason.
I thought they adopted.
Yeah. They adopted her.
Well, they find her on the side of the road. And they're I guess this is our kid now.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
God, I forgot that. I was actually originally going to go back and listen to our Silent Hill episode back in episode 2 to see if we did shelf or box. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and now we're recording. So,
I think Stefan and I shelved it, and you and DJ boxed it.
That sounds accurate. I'll take that hypothesis. All right, but one thing I did like is, I also didn't understand. Like, I know so this game starts off as he's driving a truck, and I think he's running late or something, so he decides to take a detour through Silent Hill. Is what it sounded like?
Yeah. That's exactly what happens. I actually want to question why that whole beginning scene they're talking on the radio, like, it adds nothing to the story at all. They're
truckers.
But they're just, I guess, but it's like they're just talking about women and just like, I don't care.
They're truckers.
All right.
Rubber ducky. Tomboy.
So you know that Travis isn't gay.
I guess so.
Because that's important to his visions in Silent Hill. Because clearly Travis wanted to be an actor.
So is this a good time to say there might be spoilers in this?
That is a very good point. I forgot to say that, even though I put it in the fucking outline. Thank you, Adam.
Spoilers for Silent Hill 1 and 2, and probably the movies.
And Origins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the game we're actually talking about.
Yeah. Well, it's a prequel. I think I generally don't believe in spoilers at all, but I also think when it comes to prequels, spoilers should not matter whatsoever because you already know what the fucking story is gonna.
Also, when a game comes out over 10 years ago, spoilers shouldn't count as much either. And if you're listening to the show, you know what we do.
A bunch of people got like all hot and bothered about spoilers for Rogue One, and it's like, really? Like we have 3 movies that explain, 6 movies, I think, or 5 at that point. Like we have 5 movies that take place after this, and these characters never show up again.
You knew something went down.
Yeah, so
I could have sworn it was Kyle Katarn that got the fucking Death Star plans. Huh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Okay. What were you gonna say, Stefan?
I was just gonna say that I found this out, a little interesting factoid, when he gets out of the truck. Okay, so you're Trucker Travis, that's what I'm gonna call him. You get out of your truck and you're gonna go after Alessa, who for some reason is just a knockoff of the first game. You see her in the middle of the road, you pull over, and she takes off, and for some reason he goes after her. And there's an interesting little thing I found out. It's that if you turn all the music down, you can actually faintly hear Alessa whispering his name.
Oh, that's
pretty cool. But why would you want to turn down that amazing opening song?
Exactly.
Or any of the music. Silent Hill is kind of known for its weird, like, horror industrial music, and so I just soak it all in.
Yeah, I think that's why I think people should give this game a chance, because even Akira Yamaoka put effort into this with his music, and I don't think he did that on later ones that were bad.
One thing at least in my version, I had the sound on all the time. I had headphones, but I think I was playing a crappy version of this game. Because I actually had a lot of issues with the sound. Like I was hearing, like for my game, whenever I turned the flashlight on, you hear psh, like just terrible static no matter what. It wasn't the enemy static. It was just the game couldn't handle on my system running with the flashlight on. I had to turn off the flashlight all times. So
I thought about that later because you said that, and I was thinking about like what that was. I think it was an issue with the sound, but I think that sound is supposed to be in the game. It was just way louder for you than everybody else.
Yeah, but it also is not supposed to be when they talk. We're going to the mansion. We're going to the mansion. We're going to the mansion. That also would happen when they had the flashlight on. Like any kind of flashlight on, they would stutter when they talked, and it was just really stupid.
Spencer Mansion? Is that what happened? Spencer? Yeah.
It was bad.
The other mansion. I was just right next to the Spencer Mansion.
Oh, okay.
I got that joke.
The Resident Evil Zero Mansion.
The one nobody knows the name of. I don't even remember it myself.
But it's like 20 feet away from the Arclight Mountain Mansion.
Don't even get me started when we talk about that game someday.
Nobody knows it exists. Talking about weird names. The town that he's on his way to is called Brahms. That shows up in the Silent Hill movie, but for some reason they changed the name of it in the movie. In the movie, it's Brahms, Brahms, and in the movie, it's not Brahms anymore, or it's not quite Brahms anymore. It's Brahams, so it's Brahms.
They should have just called it Bram Stark.
Bram Stark. Bram Starker.
All right,
Bram Starker's Dracula.
First, I gotta ask, who the hell's gonna park their $50,000 or $80,000 truck and just start walking down the street? That's my first. I mean, I would just drive the truck. A random
girl who he has just assumed that didn't live in this town. I like to. So he's not from Silent Hill. He's never heard of Silent Hill. He's just a trucker going down the road who drives through Silent Hill. He's driving through town, and he sees a girl in the town. And instead of just assuming that she lives in the town and she knows where she is, he's like, I gotta go investigate.
Well, the first time you see her, like in your rear view mirror, it's kind of like a demonic ghost form of her.
At that point, I would just keep fucking driving. He's a trucker. He's probably been driving for like, days or like, I don't know. God knows how many like trucker pills he's taken to keep him on the road. He's got to meet his deadlines.
No, that's
you see a demon in the road in the mirror. You're just like, well, better lay off the trucker pills.
But Silent Hill Travis always has a way of bringing you in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Travis actually appears in Silent Hill 4 too as well.
Let's see here.
He makes a cameo.
He has a cameo in Homecoming, and apparently Revelation and Book of Memories. I didn't know about the Book of Memories or Revelation one.
Oh, okay. It was Homecoming. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because this game came out after 4. This also came out on PS2 6 months or so later. So that's where a lot of people probably played it also.
Yeah, the cameo in Homecoming is fucking weird because in Homecoming you play as Alex Shepard, who's like got out of the military and is going home to Shepherd's Glen, which is next to Silent Hill, and also apparently has Silent Hill problems going on. Like Silent Hill's like spreading in Homecoming, and Travis like picks you up and gives you a ride to Shepherd's Glen, and I always thought that was the weirdest shit. Basically, like I was like, I guess is that canon or is Travis like part of Silent Hill now? What the fuck is going on? It's just very bizarre.
Yeah. There's also that theory too that he was Pyramid Head because in this game you're collecting pyramids for Alessa. Yep.
Yeah,
and you clearly got some weird sex shit going on.
Yeah.
But I do want to say is after he walks down the road, which he should have just drove down the damn road. He comes up to a burning house and he does what every good citizen would do: run inside the house, not call the police, not call.
No, he doesn't run, Mike. He very calmly strolls. I was looking up so many reviews of this game, and everybody noted how Travis is like an explosion goes off in front of his fucking face and there's fire everywhere. And he's like, I better get inside and help. And then very calmly walks to the house and walks through the burning house. And like, after I read all those as I was playing the game, I was like, oh my God, he does. Every situation is, Jesus Christ is a monster. It's going to kill me. Well, I better be careful and just take my time strolling through this town. It makes sense because you never see Pyramid Head run. So if he is Pyramid Head.
I don't like that theory.
You get in the game. I mean,
he's just completely calm.
Yeah.
I forgot to look up the other endings in this game, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, like, when you get to the house, you also see Alessa. No, not Alessa. The mother, Dahlia
Gillespie.
Thank you. I'm like, I know the word is there. What in blah? And I just couldn't do it. And you see the mother, which I thought it was a guy at first. I thought it was a weird emo guy, like goth guy at first. I'm like, what's this goth guy doing in the corner?
Whoa, guy.
That didn't pop in my head. It wasn't until later she's like, "This is my daughter." I'm like, "That's a woman?" I thought it was like a Final Fantasy villain or something. Like it just.
I thought it was the villain from The Room.
It does.
Like when I saw her, I was like, "Oh, okay."
So
but it was.
This is like pre-witch power Dahlia, where she's just like a random kind of white trash lady wandering the town.
Well, this is all before Silent Hill becomes Silent Hill. I want to say, right? Like This is the reason why. Okay, because I mean, it's
the first game in the series chronologically to take place, I think.
Yeah,
I'm not counting like any mobile games or anything. I don't know about those, but in terms of like the main series, this is the first one to take place.
I'm sure there's a pachinko machine that takes place before this, but
I'm sure, yeah. Some pachinko machine that takes place in Silent Hill back in like the 1800s before the town was like even evil.
And
play the mining Silent Hill game.
That it was
in Japan. This game is called Silent Hill 0, so it's not called Origins. Because, Resident Evil.
Well, technically in America, it's not called Silent Hill Origins either. It's called Silent Hill Zero Regens.
Zero Gens?
Because the cover of the game is stylized. The O in Origins is a 0. Which just makes me think like some localizer was like, do Americans understand what 0 is? And just like with a Sharpie wrote like Regens behind the 0. Was like, yeah, they got it.
I'm looking at it now. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 0. It's Silent Hill 0 Regens.
All right. So we were saying earlier, so he goes inside this burning house, which again, maybe I'm an asshole, but I wouldn't go inside a burning house to rescue a stranger. I'd call the police or call somebody, but I wouldn't go inside. But that's me.
He doesn't have a phone. Look, the game takes place in some time. The game simultaneously takes place in like 1978 and 2000. It's weird.
Yep.
It's hard. I don't know what year this takes place in.
This would have been 11 years before Silent Hill 1, and Silent Hill 1, or 10, let's say 11 years, because I think Alessa is 12 when and Cheryl...
Alessa also doesn't really, age.
No, but, with the ending of this game of who gets adopted in the beginning of this game, I think isn't she 11 when... Have you seen a little girl? Not my daughter, a little girl. That's what I'm saying. But enough of that. So
I'm looking for a little girl. I'm a stranger in town looking for a little girl. Let's see.
When he goes into the house, and again, he goes up, you go through this burning house, and he finds Alessa's charred body, and he picks her up, and you have to carry her out of this burning house, and things keep falling around you because this game quick time event.
Well, she's living in the middle of a pentagram and asking you to let her die.
Oh, that part creeped me out because with headphones on, you can hear her whisper, "Let me burn."
Yeah.
You're like, what the hell?
All I heard was buzzing.
She whispers, "Let me burn."
The only thing known about Silent Hill 1 is that it does not take place before 1987 because Harry's Jeep is a 1986 Jeep, at least a 1986 Jeep Wrangler. And so that is the only evidence that they have that the game takes place most likely after 1986 and sometime in between then and 1995. So yeah, this game takes place ambiguously in the 70s or 80s.
Okay.
Which I always liked about Silent Hill, that it's ambiguous when it happens, because then they can just pull some weird like Victorian era shit in town, and you don't know if it's the past or if it's just a really small town in the outskirts of the country. Because those towns do exist. You can go to you could find small towns in the country now that are 30 years in the past technology wise.
Oh yeah. I came from one.
It's it's The Village. This game is like The Village. The game actually takes place in 2033.
Spoiler.
And Silent Hill is just, Joaquin Phoenix is roaming around telling people not to go in the woods.
Singing YMCA.
All right, but the other thing I do want to say is after you rescue her and you get out of the house, and that's when this game really reminded me of Silent Hill, because he rescues her, he gets out of the house, and then I think he passes out and just wakes up in town or something? Or does he wake up in front of the house still?
Yeah. He leaves the house, he hears sirens, and then passes out.
Yeah, he collapses.
Yeah. Okay. And then he wakes up on a bench in the middle of town.
And that's really reminded me of the first one.
Yeah, I think I don't think anybody should play this game as their first Silent Hill. No. Maybe they should, maybe they'd enjoy it, I don't know. But as somebody that has played a lot of Silent Hill and I don't remember anything about this game, but having played the other ones, waking up in the middle of Silent Hill is very creepy. That is a very chilling notion, to just wake up in the center of this terrifying town.
Mm-hmm. It could work as it wasn't, my first game, of course, because that was Silent Hill 1, actually, at least for recently. But I think, you won't get some of the references, but...
Yeah. Well, it's a different experience, because if you've never played a Silent Hill, waking up in the middle of town, you're just like, oh, where am I? You've got, that sense of confusion. If you've played Silent Hill, you wake up in the middle of Silent Hill, you're like, fuck, I'm fucked.
I do like it that, when you first start, there are no monsters around, nothing is happening. You can run around all over the place, and it's quite normal at first.
Yeah, it's kind of... It has, a really big beginning, and then it takes its time introducing you to Silent Hill, which is great.
Yeah. But it also has a lot to do with the fact that you're witnessing the beginning of Silent Hill, because they just pretty much murdered Alessa, and the whole demonic thing is starting. This is the very beginning of them trying to summon a god and cause all the problems they cause. Yeah.
That does make sense. I didn't think about that. That does make sense. Because in Silent Hill 1, it's dogs are everywhere immediately, and you're just like, oh god, these weird flying pterodactyls are trying to rip my head off, and the cop is like, that's weird. You're weird.
Your favorite line in Silent Hill 1, Dr. Kaufman, I just killed a monster! Have you seen a little girl? What?
Look, I killed it. That would be me, honestly. I'd be in the middle of Silent Hill just being like, look, I just killed a pterodactyl with my bare hands. I'm trying to find a little girl. Give me your fucking gun. Come on. I'd be locked up immediately. I'd be in jail the entire time. I just beat a dog to death with a pterodactyl.
I did like Travis. I like this character. One thing I got to say is he felt like he, as things start going crazy, he's like, there's something wrong. And you're like, he's aware that there's a problem in this place. Like he's not like God. What the hell is the guy's first name in the game?
Harry?
First game?
Yeah,
he's not like Harry.
Yeah,
ignoring everything.
Harry Mason's just like he's so focused on finding his adopted daughter, that he's like ignoring the fact that bad shit is happening around him. It's not really phasing him, which is kind of, goofy and lends to Silent Hill's weird aesthetic. This game almost feels like you're trying to solve a mystery more than any of the other games. I feel like maybe not 4.
I mean,
to me, it felt like when you're going to the hospital and you're talking to Dr. Kaufman, and just like no one's there and he's not giving you any information. Travis is actually kind of annoyed by it. I was like, yeah, that's the right response, Travis.
I did like how a lot of this game is driven by I felt like particular events happen. Like, he goes to the hospital first because he's trying to find out, hey, I rescued this girl. Where is she? She's got to be in a hospital. Let's go find her, because he's trying to check up on her, which it made sense. To me, it made him feel a little more human, I guess. More human than Harry Mason did.
The problem is he still reverts back to, like, being completely calm. And I don't know if that's a problem or, like, a humorous thing about Travis. Like, you talk to Kaufman in the hospital, and then he's like, oh, why don't you go check reception? And, like, you're on the second floor, you came up there because there's nobody in the hospital. And the guy's like, oh, go check reception. Like, it's a completely normal day. And when you go downstairs, or when you go back upstairs, there's, like, a nurse, one of the evil, like, otherworld nurses that's freaking out coming at you. And you kind of panic, but then after you defeat the nurse, he's like, well, that was weird. Back to calm.
Yeah, you might actually appreciate this, Stu, but they were going to do a dark comedy script for this game inspired by Scrubs.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, that was the original plan.
That would have been amazing, especially if it did, like, the inner monologue.
Yeah.
I want that game now.
I guess what Dr. Kaufman said about the nurses was true, but when I think about it...
I did like his...
It's a little weird.
I did like they brought back Dr. Kaufman from the first one. I thought that was actually really cool. Like, I was like, oh, and again, I can't remember a lot of Silent Hill 1 anymore because it's been almost a year. But I do remember Dr. Kaufman. I do remember the fact that he played such a big part in what's happening with Cheryl. Isn't he one of the ones that, like, he's feeding her drugs or something?
Yeah, and he also got Lisa Garland hooked on drugs as well, the girl that he's sleeping with, the nurse.
Yeah, who plays a major part in this game. I didn't realize what a big part she played in this game.
I don't like the way she looks.
Didn't she have long hair in the other one? In the first one? Okay, that's a classic, like, she aged. You can tell she aged because now she has, short hair, and before she had long hair.
She has maybe my favorite moment in the entirety of Silent Hill happens with her in this game, but we'll get to that. Okay.
What did you guys think of the hospital? Like, when you first went in there, and all of a sudden things just start going to bullshit the shit.
What you expect, like, in a beginning of a Silent Hill game, like it nothing too bad, but definitely setting the pace, getting you going for stuff that's about to happen.
It felt a little bit more restrained to me than other Silent Hills. It's just like, after the fire, you spend so long not dealing with any monster. And then when that nurse shows up, it's like, oh, okay, we're doing this now.
I really like it that it takes a little while to get into the combat, that it kind of just, things are a little normal. You run into Dr. Kaufman, you're kind of walking around, you're trying to figure out what's going on. And it hasn't, like the insanity of Silent Hill hasn't really seeped into your veins yet. You haven't gotten there, and I really like that. That was really cool to me.
I kept
we should also.
Go ahead.
I was going to say we should also explain that for some odd reason in this game it has a mechanic where Trucker Travis can travel between the other world and the regular world through mirrors, and for some reason,
to me, this is what I was going to say. To me, this feels like Alessa. I don't know if this was intended or if this is just what I got. It felt like this was like Alessa, like, practicing with her powers and seeing how she could affect people. That's the impression I got.
I think the whole point of the story, to kind of spoil it for everyone already, is that Travis is trying to figure out what happened to Alessa while Alessa's already using him to get these pyramids.
Yeah. And
she's using her powers to influence him going in the other world and back to the regular world.
Yeah, because you see her in the mirror. Like, you come into this room with this giant mirror, and you see Alessa in the mirror. and like you touch it, and that's when the whole, like that's when the other world starts spreading out pretty violently.
Exactly.
So I got the impression that Alessa was like, I need these pyramids, I need this power, and I don't understand this, but I'm gonna start using it on this random trucker guy. He's gonna be like the catalyst to me figuring this shit out.
I also gotta say, I like how if you look in the mirror, you can actually see the whatever world you're in, you see the other world back at you. So if you're in the normal world, you see the fucked up world in the mirror. Like that was a really cool touch, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is one of those games where people get mad when they say like, oh, they changed the rules to Silent Hill, but this game had kind of completely different rules than the first game. But that's
every
all right.
Silent Hill different rules.
They all have slightly different rules, and I think that's okay because there are different things controlling the powers in Silent Hill, and it makes sense. Also, Silent Hill is nobody knows what it is, so you can't say like, "Oh, they changed the rules." You don't know what the fucking rules are. Sorry,
Konami doesn't either. So.
Yeah, I mean nobody does. That's the kind of fun part of Silent Hill is like people always argue if the first game was like, "Oh, was that all real? Is it purgatory? Did it take place in Harry's mind? What's going on?"
Well, I feel like no matter what iteration of Silent Hill, it takes place in somebody's mind. Like, the city manifests itself based on who you are to get trapped in it. Like, one comment that I saw people mention, they were complaining that in this game, the nurses are all skinky again, like they were in Silent Hill 2. And they're like, that doesn't belong because he's not sex deprived and kill it, everything like that. And,
well, that's true.
But I'm like,
well, guess what? That's what that's what Pyramid Head was supposed to be, and now he's in every goddamn game. So
yeah, because he's iconic.
Yeah, I mean that didn't bother me. Like I'm okay with creepy ass nurses with bandages wrapped around their heads and boobs showing. Like I'm okay. It doesn't have to like it's still creepy and makes sense. Like I don't care.
You're okay with boobs showing, Mike? I'm shocked.
But,
and they're pretty iconic characters in the Silent Hill.
Yeah.
So.
I would argue the nurses are just as iconic as Pyramid Head. Almost more so now. I think.
I was gonna say I think more so
because there's
Pyramid Head
not
is
much
like,
else.
I don't know. That'd be an interesting poll to see if people if you ask people to name one enemy from Silent Hill. It'd be interesting to see if more people name the nurses or Pyramid Head now. I feel like it'd be the nurses now.
Oh yeah, definitely. Did anyone else notice? Did anyone else notice that one of the monsters kind of shambling around when you're walking around Silent Hill looks like Travis's roadkill? Like it looks like something he ran over.
Oh, you're talking about the Calibans?
Yeah, the Calibans.
Giant, I fucking hate those things so much. It's so creepy.
Yeah,
neck cows.
It's supposed to be roadkill.
Yeah, and weren't they like the cheapest hitting mother truckers in the game?
Yeah,
I had the worst.
You can also just they're so slow you can just run by them, but they're just so fucking creepy looking.
I mean, you say that, but I can't tell you how many times I had to reload because I'd be running. I'm like, I'm gonna be clear. I think that's, and all of a sudden it just smacks me in the face.
And if it smacks you once, it can turn around and smack you again so damn fast.
It had a quick turn. Yep.
But yeah, it's supposed to be. They're supposed to represent roadkill, things he killed as he was driving his truck, because it doesn't really show. You don't really get that hint when you're in the hospital. As this game progresses, you start realizing that, as with every time in Silent Hill, is starting to convert and take things from Travis's brain and create it around him and create his own hell.
If that's roadkill, then Travis has killed several human beings.
Well, it's the 70s.
It's true, yeah.
And that could have been why that opening radio scene happened. Set up the nurses. He had a fetish for nurses.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
And
speaking of weird fetishes, like when you first see, I mean, kind of like I thought at first this was supposed to be the premonition, or not premonition, but the origin of Pyramid Head, where you see this guy called the Butcher. And
well,
is it?
That's we'll get to that because that goes into the endings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll wait on. We'll come back to that then.
It has a lot to do with Travis's backstory as well.
Okay, which I partly know, but you guys aren't gonna be able to believe this, but I was not reading the notes, not even the blank notes. I didn't read any notes. I said, "Fuck it, we'll talk about it on the show." I'm just gonna keep going.
All right. Well, here's what happens when you go to the hospital. You find out and start reading notes that Travis's mom tried to kill him when he was little, and then she was committed to the sanitarium in Silent Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
like
this game
isolation.
this game still does the gags and like every Silent Hill has little gags. Like a drawer will shake and you'll go check it. There's nothing in it. And then you'll walk away and it starts shaking again. Like it has little gags. And in this game, one of the gags that they do is when you're in the regular world, you go into a shower and it's empty. So then you go over to the mirror, which is like 10 feet away, and you go into the other world and you go back into the shower and scrolled on the floor in blood. It says, "Bring me my son."
Yeah.
Just little gags like that. I love them.
It's great. It's this game might be, I don't know, this might be one of my favorite Silent Hills playing it now. Just it's got so much of those little things in there, just little touches that make it so nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like the weirdness of the protagonist and like all the notes you find. I love the notes in this game because they're all, since it's starting out, since it's like the beginning of Silent Hill, a lot of the notes are more normal, and then the ones that are weird really stand out by comparison. Like someone will be talking about like otherworldly shit, and you're like, that doesn't fit in with the 30 notes I just read about like the medicinal values of Tylenol.
Oh, I do have one question though for Adam. So when you were reading the notes, were you reading in the minor voice again, like, "Hey Frank, I got your hammer"? Any of that going on? Or?
No, I actually read them in a decent voice that went on in my head because they were they were well written the way they should have been written.
Shakespearean.
Yeah, like
there's fog and then there are hills.
Yeah, some of them came across Shakespearean, but I think they're supposed to.
You weren't talking a trucker voice to Helena the whole week this time or anything like that?
No, I should have though. It's not too late. I'm just gonna do it just to piss her off now.
Like, "Hey Helena, over. Helena, over." Keep doing that. See how that goes for you.
There's a little girl in that fire. We gotta do something.
Did you try
a convoy?
Just read like all the most mundane lines in the most over-exaggerated voice. Just like, where am I? That was weird.
She might not thank us, depending on how much you annoy her.
She'll never be on the show again.
She just won't let me. Gotta come out at night and like secretly get on Skype.
I do gotta.
You go.
Okay, there was this game all has really like identifiable bosses, but I gotta say the first boss wasn't the one that you fight in the hospital. If we start wrapping up that part, I thought it was stupid. It just becomes a regular enemy, just a guy in a straitjacket that you gotta beat with a crowbar or beat with a fluid, whatever the hell you have.
My God,
yeah,
my favorite enemy in the game because of how you fight it. If you don't have a weapon in your hands, you do it. Travis goes into this like left right like 1-2 1-2 uppercut. It falls on the ground, and you kick it in the dick, and it dies. Every time I fought them, I was like, 1-2 1-2, kick in the dick, yeah. I couldn't stop like chanting that in my head every single one I fought.
I never fought any enemies without a weapon.
Yeah, it's the first Silent Hill game with melee attacks that don't require weapons.
Stu's version of the Rocky. Da-na-na.
1-2 1-2, kick in the dick. Well, you're a tough 70s trucker. It makes sense. You gotta. God knows how many people you beat up at truck stops over the years.
Apparently, a lot of people.
Nerds.
Making fun of your secret desire to be an actor and the fact that your mom tried to kill you.
I really should have read the notes because I didn't get any of that. Other than I knew there was something wrong with his mother, but man,
gotta read the notes, Mike.
Yeah, the notes.
As you see last week, I don't read in horror games. I just finish them.
In Silent Hill, you have to assume everything. So,
yeah,
I'm at the point where after playing 6 horror games, I'm just like, I'm done. I just want out. I'm like, get me out of Silent Hill, get me out of here. There's a lot of that. So,
and reading's super important for some of the puzzles in this game.
Oh my God! I was reading something else for the puzzles, but
okay.
Spoiler alert! I cheat. I'm a cheater.
No,
I don't really
definitely
blame you for this,
fine.
just the puzzles.
I also use save states.
Convoluted puzzles for Silent Hill, but they're up there.
And there's some pretty messed up ones that I would have had a really hard time figuring out if I wasn't just reading. But
nothing as bad as you gotta turn the pipe on to run water through it to get the key to fall down 3 stories below you. Like nothing as dumb as that.
Oh, but... there was a dumb one like that. I want to say it's in the hospital where you have to turn on a water somewhere, then go into the other world, turn on a water somewhere else, and then go downstairs and you'll find it. But you don't need a rubber ball to stick inside a pipe like you did in the stupid
toilet.
Yeah. And also in that toilet area, there was a reference to the Silent Hill movie. I'm assuming it was a reference to the movie where there's barbed wire across one of the stalls.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering
I think that's
that.
in the
you never really
game.
did anything. It was just barbed wired up.
Yeah. Like there's
that's
no
in the first
item,
game,
nothing.
which became a part of the movie. Which I imagine this game also then was like, hey, that was in the movie. Let's put it in the game. So it's probably just this constant cycle of referencing.
Okay, because I mean, this is the same hospital you went to in the first game. It's just years later, or years before.
Yeah. Because to be clear, if anyone doesn't know, this is the around the point when they split up Team Silent, and Konami literally just quit giving a shit about Silent Hill. They're just like, here, American companies, go ahead and make whatever you want.
Yeah. Trying to make a game as weird as Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Pretty good job.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did a really fantastic job with this. I think this is definitely where you see quality start dropping, but it's pretty gradual. I'd say, like, because I still like Homecoming personally.
Yeah, I loved Homecoming.
I think Homecoming it's different. It's definitely more like it's more of a streamlined Silent Hill game, and so it loses some of the weirdness, but I still enjoyed it as a game. And then Downpour, I was like, this just it's not keeping me in. It's not keeping my attention.
Well, wasn't Homecoming more actiony as well?
Yeah, well, like it made sense in this. Yeah, it made sense in the story because you were like you were a vet, you were a military guy. So there was a little bit more combat, but the bosses were a little bit more interesting. And they kind of made sense with like you having to use combat. And it doesn't take place in Silent Hill; it takes place in Shepherd's Glen, which I think was an interesting idea. It was a risk. I didn't pay off, but I see why they did that.
Yeah, because that's next to Silent Hill, right? Like the neighbor town or something. Yeah,
it's introducing this other town that's right next to Silent Hill, and I like the idea that Silent Hill is spreading. I really enjoy that, but that's a difficult thing to decide to do because then all the rest of your games have to be about that pretty much. You can't just say it's spreading. Oh, we're not going to talk about that anymore. Like Downpour goes straight back to Silent Hill.
Well, they did a good job not talking about that. They just ended the series. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. Everything it ended with Homecoming. Nothing came out after that.
I do want to play Downpour really bad just because everybody trashes it. So I'm very interested to see what it is.
It's got some interesting things. Like you don't have the radio. Instead of the radio, it just starts pouring down raining. Which that's a cool concept. Like if you're gonna change the rules, that's a cool way to do it. It's just like the rest of the game doesn't revolve around that kind of like quality risk taking.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing we mentioned
the most political answer I can give, like as if I've designed a Silent Hill.
One thing we had mentioned we've been kind of tiptoeing around is the combat system of this game is different because for some reason they decided weapons breaking would be a wonderful idea. So you pick up all sorts of shit all over the place. You see a TV? Let's take a TV. You see an alcohol bottle? Let's take that bottle. Let's hit someone over the head. So hell, use a fucking drip stand for IVs as one of your weapons. I mean, come on now.
The first portable TV I picked up, I thought it was an item. And I went throughout the whole hospital going, what the hell is I supposed to do with this TV?
It makes sense. It makes sense as a puzzle item.
And then like I went through my items and I'm like, oh, I can swing this at people. Okay.
It's just Travis stealing TVs. That's his goal.
I like how there's like 3 games that come to mind when it says TV as a weapon. Now it's Silent Hill Origins, Yakuza, and Akiba Strip. And in Yakuza and Akiba Strip, they're both like it's a joke that you can use a whole TV as a weapon. In this game, it's completely serious.
I mean, it works. Like, I mean, and you get more conventional weapons too. You get swords because why the hell they're katanas? But they're
get conventional weapons like katanas.
You get wood boards. I mean, you get crowbars. I mean, those aren't good. Knives. I know. I started talking, and then I realized that I was bullshitting myself, and it just kept going. So.
Like the most conventional weapon. The first conventional weapon you think of is a katana.
Hey, now.
I told Jesse, I was like, oh man, I got a katana, and he started singing. I'm like, you sicko.
I don't get that.
There's a sushi shop near me that has like 2 katanas hanging on the wall, and I want to go in there and like order some special off the menu, and they pull the katana down and cut the sushi with the katana.
I don't think that's going to happen.
If I'm getting the special, I want special fanfare. I want
the katana special.
Yeah. I want them to get the katana. I want them to serve the sushi on the katana.
You have to eat it off the katana too. No chopsticks.
Without using chopsticks. I just said it like very carefully.
He might be okay with this.
It's sushi's answer to that puffer fish that fucking rich people eat that like can kill you if it's cooked wrong.
Fugu.
Yeah.
Fugu, yeah. Just like we see your fugu and raise you katana sushi. Eat it without your hands. Don't slip.
Why does this just make? Yeah, okay. But I did like Adam, did you use the TV on anybody after you figured out it was a weapon, or did you just go, oh, that's nice?
No. So I was trying to do a very, very strong pacifist run in this game, just because I don't ever try to do that. And I was like, if I'm going to beat it, I know there's going to be rewards for not killing enemies and stuff like that, and like very small saves. And I realized I was probably going to play this game once I hit the sanitarium. Not because it's bad, because of something of my own stupidity, which we'll talk about in a second.
Okay.
So I was running past enemies a lot, and I only killed ones that were like really pissing me off, and bosses. That's pretty much it.
Same.
The reason I started hating this game, and then it won me back over a little bit, was some of the items you can clearly tell are items. Like they're there.
Okay. Yes. Let's get into this shit.
And then I'm probably an hour into the sanitarium. I have no idea where I'm at because I didn't see the billboard with the sanitarium or when you walk in that roundabout with the wheelchair because of my camera angle. I didn't see the map laying there. And so
same exact shit.
And I am lost. I'm confused. I'm getting so frustrated. And then I finally see it. And once again, it's like an hour that I've been like doing stuff, going back and forth, and I'm not saving, and I die. And I lose about an hour of progress, and I just like, you know what? I'm going to take a break for a bit. And then
the sanatorium is fucked up place too. Like that was probably out of the places you go to, which I think there's 4 of them. That was the worst one for me in this game too.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And then right after you run into the butcher too, so you're like super on edge.
And then you're just looking at the maps and like, all right, this is a red squiggly. I can't go here. All right, I can't go here. I've been here. All right, I gotta go up to the 2nd floor, but in order to do that, I have to go through this tunnel, go into the overworld, go up the stairs. Now I'm on the 2nd floor, and I was just like getting so angry.
Yeah, that's a common trope in Silent Hill. To be fair, Resident Evil does the same thing. I think the only difference is they kind of highlight the map a little bit more.
I mean, this was a messed up place.
Resident Evil 2 Remake does like I love what Resident Evil 2 Remake does with the map, where like if you step over an item, it shows up on the map. The actual item does.
Oh yeah.
The remake map is basically what everybody did as a kid, where they'd have a printout of the map and they'd be like marking it off.
Mm-hmm. Well, Origins kind of had that. You had your save points. You knew where their puzzles were. You knew one-way doors, and you knew the squiggles. You couldn't just go that way anyway.
The problem is the fucking items. Like I'd say about 30 to 40% of the items in this game are not visible. You just have to kind of like be searching everything.
Yeah, like I wouldn't have found things if it wasn't for the fact that I was reading a guide that said this is what's in the room. This is where it is. Find it, because like we were saying, things are hard to see, and they're not flashing, they're not glowing. It's like, oh, a TV. Like you're like, oh, well, maybe pick up this TV. I don't know. Maybe I can pick up this drip stand. I mean, you just got to start touching things and seeing what happens.
I didn't realize until it was at some point in the hospital where I was like, I just randomly clicked on a bookshelf and I got a melee weapon or something. I was like, oh, are you fucking kidding? I had to go back to the entire hospital because I was like, I didn't know that shit was just not visible, because some items are very clearly items. Some items have like that weird like almost glow to them. They look different. It's like, yeah, okay, that's something on that desk that I can pick up, but do one or the other. Either, I don't know. It was really annoying. Like, I play a lot of survival horror, so I know you're going to search everything, but also, if you're going to make some items extremely visible, that kind of tricks my mind into thinking, well, if that item's extremely visible, then that's just the standard for how items appear in this game. But no, it's only like some of them.
And I had a little bit of problems with the camera, like trying to get it behind Travis the whole time.
Yeah,
so you'd be like, oh, to the left there's a door and a weapon. Wish I could have saw that an hour ago.
As much as I enjoyed this game, it is not without its flaws.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's still got the janky combat, which 2007, you should probably be past that by now.
Hey, at least guns auto-locked.
Yes, small victories.
Yes.
Small victories. You get a lot of guns.
One thing we kind of glossed over after that I just remembered I want to go back before we get too far into Sanatorium, into the worst part of the game. As you pass through the butcher's shop and you first see the butcher, that scene was fucked up as all hell, where he has a nurse and he takes his blade, shoves it through her, and then isn't he dragging it down her, like cutting her open? I mean, that was one messed up scene.
Yeah.
He slowly shoves it through her and drags it down and kind of eviscerates her. And by the technical definition of the term eviscerate, he eviscerates her.
Yeah.
And all I could think of was some sexual innuendo they were trying to tell me, but I'm like, okay. Yeah. All went through my brain at least.
So getting to the butcher shop was another. Because once again, doors aren't clearly open or closed, and you're walking, and all right, you go down this. I can't go here. All right, once again, I can't go here because this road's blocked. And you pass the butcher shop. Or at least this happened to me twice. The bookstore and the butcher shop, where I didn't know I could go into the building. I was just thought, oh well, the butcher shop just had a little bit of decor on it, cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the bookstore. Really funny thing to mention about the bookstore, it only has comedy and horror inside of it.
Yes.
And there's a poster for something called A Fistful of Epics, which I now want to see that movie.
Something else, now I'm backtracking a little bit. In the house in the fire, did anybody pay attention to the paintings on the walls? There is a pyramid head painting. Or at least, as I was going up the steps, I was like, "Oh, that's a weird painting to have."
That's crazy.
There are a lot of little touches
because Pyramid Head doesn't exist yet. So
that's what I was like.
Well, yeah, I always took the because Sanitarium, you find out your mom was essentially infirm and placed away because she tried to kill you. After you learned that, I was thinking back to the butcher scene, and I was like, oh, is the nurse supposed to be his mom, and he's the butcher killing her? That's one of those weird things about Silent Hill, is you play the game, and then you start to notice, the weird symbolism, and you're like, okay, how does this symbolism fit to this fucking character? What does this mean?
Because, that's what they're going for. You really see it, especially with the boss of the Sanatorium, where you really start seeing that this game, as every Silent Hill game, is about the character that's suffering Silent Hill.
Yeah, I took the straitjacket boss as him having fear that he would develop his mother's mental health. At one point he would start losing his mind, maybe hereditarily.
You beat the shit out of your mental health problems.
Exactly.
You take that depression, you kick it in the dick.
1, 2, 1, 2, kick in the dick.
1, 2, 1, 2, kick it in the dick. Every fucking fighting game from now on, I'm not gonna be able to get past that.
I'm only playing as characters that can kick people in the dick. Nina Williams, second. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Kick in the dick.
I think at one point I was actually chanting it out loud without realizing it. 1, 2, 1, 2, kick it in the dick. 1, 2, 1, 2, kick it in the dick. I'm gonna be doing that in class. I'm not gonna be paying attention to me sitting in a fucking room chanting that out loud to myself, and everyone's gonna be like, "Are you okay?"
You want to find out what I'm about?
You've been chanting 1, 2, kick in the dick for the last hour and a half.
You just hold up your fist and go, I got 1, 2. You know what comes next.
Sorry, I was thinking about my mom killing me. What? Someone's dialing 911 very quietly.
But it is interesting how well that they do work the story, each Silent Hill story, into the character. When you're in the Sanatorium, it is just really, really fucked up. Everything about it. The enemies you're fighting are fucked up. You have these floating harnesses that come after you that are just weird as hell. That can smack you or something. I think that was one of the main enemies they used a lot in the Sanatorium.
Fuck what are they called?
They have a name, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, it's not the straitjacket.
Straitjacket is the boss.
Taliban's Mama.
Mama just killed a man.
Killed myself. Ariels, they're called Ariels, of course.
Okay, they were
Ariel like the mermaid, not Ariel like the System of a Down song.
Ding 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 ding.
But also, as you're going through, like, because I thought the sanatorium did a good job of like trying to emulate, the older those type of places, especially in the 50s, 60s. When you look at old films and things, I mean, they were fucked up places. Like, they really didn't know what the hell they were doing.
I also like that, like, of course, Silent Hill has a sanatorium. Why wouldn't it? Even though it's a town of like 600 people, it has a whole sanatorium.
And also, one thing we forgot to mention, the whole reason why he goes to the sanatorium, because the nurse from the first game that's in this game, I can't remember her name all of a sudden.
Lisa Garland.
Yes, she tells you she's going to the sanatorium, and that's what draws you to go to the sanatorium next.
Yeah, and they have 5 white rooms next to each other, and then the 5th one is your mother, and she's like, isn't she peering into it? And Travis is like, what are you looking at? And she's like, it's in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out to be his mom, right?
Yep.
Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Oh, here's the quote from the game. It says, "I'm not dead, locked away, out of sight, out of mind, not dead. I asked them to bring my boy to me. Come here, boy. Let mama take a look at you." Like, it's just fucked up.
You read that like
trying changing in there, but
you read that like a poetry slam. Like you need some guy in the just edit in bongos behind that. Okay. Yeah, like the really thin rectangular glasses, the sunglasses, the beret.
Well, I actually do have rectangular glasses, sir.
Man.
Okay, now I really want to go back and edit this out and redo it just like that, but I'm not going to. But I want to.
Out of mind, out of sight. Like, whoa. The guy in the back of.
I mean, I didn't realize at first that was his mother. I mean, because I wasn't reading anything and paying attention. Also, like I said earlier,
I was wondering at that point if they were trying to imply that Lisa was his mother, as opposed to just being a character. Because I thought that would have been a nice little, like, she's got some extra story to her existence. It would have like messed up Silent Hill 1, but fuck it.
I mean, Lisa's just the reference to bring the two together, Silent Hill 1 in this game, also because Lisa was involved in the death and destruction of Alessa. So,
she is directly a tool of Alessa, basically. She essentially has like lost her mind almost entirely and is just like hearing Alessa telling her to do shit. I do like her introduction where she's just like a regular nurse and she's like, "Oh, sorry, the little girl died." And then immediately starts acting weird. Like, she's just like a normal nurse, like, "I'm sorry to tell you this, the little girl didn't survive it." And then immediately she's just like, "Things are happening in this hospital." It's like, whoa, what the fuck?
And then you get her in the theater.
Oh my god. Okay, so the theater. Let's talk about the theater. Because this is my favorite thing in all of Silent Hill.
The theater is what brought me back into liking the game again.
The theater is like peak weird Silent Hill. It's so great. You go to the Artad Theater, which, again, this is a tiny town. It has a sanatorium, it has a giant hospital, it has a giant theater. So I guess this small town is fucking rich. And you go in and Lisa's there, and you're like, "Lisa, why are you here?" And she immediately ignores your question, and she's just like, "I always wanted to be an actress, you know?" And then, like, sexy music starts playing.
Yep.
It's very David Lynch.
And her mom was... It reminded me so much of something out of Twin Peaks. Like, but my mom was a nurse. Her mom was a nurse, so I had to be a nurse. But don't you think I have the acting skills? And they even give her character model this, like, weird, like, sexy walk up to you. And Travis is like, "Yeah, you could totally be an actress. You could be anything you want."
Anything you want, baby.
Anyway, I've got to go. I'll see you later. And you're just like, "Wait, what?" And she just leaves, and you're like, "Okay, I guess back to the game." Like, it feels like a moment that doesn't belong in the game. At the end of it, they're like, "Yeah, that happened. All right, let's go back to solving this mystery about Alessa." Let's just ignore that ever took place.
I mean, is that supposed to be...
It's character building.
It's character building.
I mean, well, it could be, in a sense. It could be the fact that Alessa's controlling her, and that's what a child would make a grown woman do, in a sense. It's like, "Oh, you're going to walk sexy. You're going to hit on this random guy because I have control of you." That idea. I mean,
well,
it could be
let's
something.
be clear that Alessa doesn't have control of Lisa Garland. She actually lets Lisa Garland do whatever she wants because she was nice to her when she was in pain.
Okay. She like whispers in her ear though. It's like,
yeah, but she does whisper things to her. So yeah,
it's when I said she's like a tool of her. It's not like, she's not like puppeting Lisa physically, but yeah, she's like like, hey, you need to go tell this guy this. She's like Palpatine. Alessa's like Palpatine.
Okay, so she's a puppet master?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimate power.
Just imagining Alessa Gillespie in like Star Wars, the prequels would have made this movie so much better. Why is a 12-year-old running Senate? The Senate is mine. And like Lisa, instead of Jar Jar Binks, it's Lisa Garland standing behind her.
I have another hot take. Episode 1 is a good movie. So
yeah, episode 1's fine.
Episode 2 is garbage. Episode 1 is good. But all right,
episode 1 is fine. Episode 2 is great when they're not talking.
And I hate sand. Sand is rough, but you're soft. Yeah. Okay.
We talked about the scene in I think it was the third movie where Mace Windu is talking to Anakin, and they're just walking from point A to point B, but they stop 5 times in the middle of this conversation for like dramatic pause, and it's like, what the fuck is happening?
It's so you can see the Millennium Falcon in the background.
Yeah, I think that's my theory. Is so you can see it was the LAATs in the background for like a new ship that they loved, and I thought that was just to show the ship off. It's like, why else would they stop 5 times in front of this fucking ship?
Okay. One thing that
There's a war on Anakin. There's a war.
One thing we kind of touched on a little bit is after you finish an area in this game, before you go to the next one, you run around Silent Hill, as Adam was talking about the squiggly lines and stuff in the city, and how you can't tell what a fucking door is and what's going to open. Because you go to some doors and they don't open. They're not a room. You go to some doors and they open, and there's not a whole lot of significance of what's going to open and what's not. There's very few places that you can actually go into. I mean, I knew what to do because it said I was just reading. But I can see how it would be very confusing if you're playing this game legit.
That's basically every Silent Hill, but this game specifically because it's portable and they couldn't make a lot for it.
Like, one thing we hadn't mentioned, I fucking hated running around in the open because the enemies, like, they will fucking chase you down like a rabid hound forever. Like, I would put energy drinks, I'd run, like, okay, I lost them, I look back, nope, they're still chasing after me. Like,
so Mike is referring to the bad stamina in this game, which I have no idea why they would implement that, because it's just a terrible design.
Stamina, breakable weapons, stuff that is good in like big open world games and exploration games, but not in a Silent Hill.
Hell no.
I actually have a theory on that.
Is it bunnies?
No, well,
because he's a trucker.
Because this game came out for PSP, you'll notice like there's a lot of long corridors and open areas, and they implemented long ways because there's hardly any loading except you're going through a door. Right. Other than that, there wasn't any hiccups, and so because of those long things, they're loading everything, and the stamina. Because I hated the stamina. I was like, maybe the stamina is to slow you down so the game has a little bit more time to load without that many hiccups.
That makes complete sense. Possible. As soon as you said that, it made I knew exactly what you were going to say. It made complete sense to me. Because the first game, the whole point of the fog was to hide the loading. The whole point of the fog was to hide that like they weren't rendering everything outside your vision. Right. That makes complete sense to me.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Thank you, Adam. That's okay.
Somebody just fainted from that revelation.
Yeah, I hit
that Silent Hill revelation.
Mic drop. All right. But I did not like the stamina system either. But that's a good point of what he was saying. Why it probably was why I could have been in here.
Yeah, it's still shitty, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, but I do want to talk a little bit more about. Is there anything else about Mama that you guys want to say? Because I didn't really read anything, so I'm curious if you guys have any more takes on Mama.
Hey, hit the string. Stefan did it better than me. I like Mama's design.
I was just about to say that.
That creeped the hell out of me. So those who don't know what we're talking about, because I didn't really post a lot of screenshots of this game because we were hiding our Spooktober. It's a woman wrapped up in bandages inside like a glass tube with a chain with like a cage around her.
There's a specific, that's what it is.
What?
Yeah, it's a like medieval torture device type thing, I think.
Okay.
A gibbet cage, Gibbet, for those listeners trying to look up gibbet. It was like I think it was used to like it wasn't like a torture device per se. I think it was like a public execution thing, more like a guillotine.
Okay.
I'm looking up exactly how it works, and now my Google search history is going to be
here I have the symbolism pulled up from the Silent Hill Wikipedia. I can read real fast. one, this creature is a representative of Travis's memory of his mother, which we are kind of gotten, and it's supposed to be represent her mum. She's mummified, cage state, representing her stay in Cedar Grove Sanitarium, being constantly under watch and caged up, unable to see her family or be free. And then it talks about the gibbet thing that he also said. But it's
a cage in which criminals are locked up and hoisted in the air, and it was often for punishment, but occasionally it would be used as a form of public execution. The criminal would die of exposure.
Oh, so it's kind of like what's that George Lucas movie with the little guy in it?
Return of the Jedi?
Phantom Menace.
No, the fantasy one.
Temple of Doom. Willow, what you're looking for?
Willow, yeah. The thing that Mad Mardigan was in. That's basically what it is.
I like my answer. George Lucas movie with the little guy, episode 1.
That was good. And I didn't realize this, but I guess she tried to kill him with natural gas inhalation. So that's why she shoots out the gas they were saying in here.
Yeah, there was something about her like trying to start a fire in one of the notes, like turning on gas and
and I don't remember
that.
It's just such a weird sequence because you come into a room and it's like you're just your mom but strung up in this glass bell-shaped cage, and it just starts like shooting gas at you. It's like, what the fuck is happening?
It gets more fucked up though than that.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, Arkin's theater, like we were talking about a little bit. I mean, I thought the theater looked fucking cool. Like I enjoyed everything but those stupid puppets that ran on their hands and kicked me in the face. I did not like those puppets. Or like, I think the first time you see one, it's hanging on the ceiling and it just comes towards you, and I fought it and I had a hard time killing it.
Yeah. They're like the mannequins in this game. They're like there's this game's version of mannequins from normal Silent Hill. They're called Ariels, and
were the mannequins in the first one, or are they in 2?
I don't remember now. I think they were introduced in 2, but I could be wrong about that.
I definitely know they're in 3.
They're definitely in 3. I think they're in 2. I don't know if they're in 1. I hope that answers your question.
It doesn't, but I'll take it.
Yeah, the aerials are they hang from the fucking ceiling and grab you, and I think they're they're related to the. I don't know. They might actually just be called puppets.
They're called aerials.
Yeah.
Well, there's the ones that run across the ground too.
Those fucking bastards.
Oh, we should mention
the fact
too
they
that
grab you when they walk in a room, they fucking freak me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when they grab you too, the weird thing about this game as well is that it has QuickTime events. So you have to hit buttons to get released from their grab.
Welcome to 2007.
Yeah.
Although this is when you get to the theater, that's when I certainly started taking note of how the Otherworld operates with the VHS grain overlaid over it.
Okay, so that wasn't just my computer?
No.
Okay.
No, it's
okay. I thought it was just my computer was fucking up all this time. I can't run a fucking PSP emulator. What the hell?
No, the problem with that is that you're playing a PSP game with a VHS overlay on it, and so it's quite hard to see in general.
Yeah.
But I think that adds to the song. I like that. It was really hard to see. It was kind of hard to tell what was going on.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed that feature.
Also, since we're bringing up graphics, one thing that I'm curious, I'm assuming it was just my hardware, but there were a time when a couple of times happened in a stairwell, I would turn on the flashlight I couldn't see, and the flashlight would light up one area, the sound would go crazy, and then everything else would be completely black shadow, except for Travis running along. I'm assuming that wasn't in the game for anybody else?
I actually had a problem with that because I was running it on PSP. Didn't have sound issue, but there was a few times where, half my screen was just black.
Okay, it was directly down the half, you could tell it wasn't, so it wasn't just...
I really enjoyed my PSP, but it had some problems.
We all played...
That was pretty common on the PSP as well. That was not just
PSP is...
okay.
Yeah, PSP was an interesting system in all that it was trying to do, but it definitely had some technical issues occasionally.
It was ahead of its time. I have a funny story. This doesn't involve me, but I'm going to tell. Since I don't get to tell the story very often, I'm going to tell it. So back when I was in high school, 05, 06, or around the time when PSP came out and I was graduating, a friend of mine had got a bunch of money for college because he was going to go to college. And I remember one of the things he did is he went and bought a PSP with it. And when PSP first came out, it wasn't cheap.
No,
and I remember his mother. I think it was like $200. It was expensive.
The price of essentially a whole new console.
And I remember he had to hide it from his mother because she's like, "How'd you get that?" He's like, "Oh, I've been working." He was working, but yeah, he used to sell papers, and the whole idea. Well, he doesn't listen to the show, so it's okay. And the whole idea was that he's like, "I'll take the money." No, but he take the money from the papers that he made and use that to pay back the college fund for the PSP. Unfortunately for him, he never put the money back in, and he ended up losing the job eventually because it just stopped. Because the future came, people stopped buying papers as much in 2007.
Also, he was selling papers in high school. When you say, like, I'm selling papers, in my mind, that is like a 10-year-old kid on a bicycle.
No, we stood on the corner. I did this job, too. Oh, this sounds terrible. We stood in the corner, and we would sell paper. We would sell newspapers.
So you were Newsies. You were Newsies.
Get your paper over here. Get your paper over here. Over here.
Did you have, like, the newsboy caps, too?
I did not. I had a winter jacket. I was freezing my ass off. My bundles of
Hitler died. The war's over. Our boys are coming home.
Well, I do remember one time.
Into the side of it.
I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, my stomach starts acting up. And I'm like, okay, where the hell do I go? Then I'm thinking to myself, okay, what do I do? Do I sit here and figure out what the hell I'm going to do? Or do I take all these papers and find a way to bring them all inside the McDonald's with me? So I remember having that thought pattern. So
I like the idea of you going in and people stealing papers.
If they steal the papers, or because you get 50 cents for every paper, and you sell them for $1. So if you lose all your papers, well, you owe the company now for all the papers, even if you didn't sell them.
Well, yeah, but like if I saw a stack of papers, I don't think like stealing a stack of papers would like cross my mind if I saw.
But you didn't grow up in Milwaukee.
Well, yeah, that's true. I don't know. Papers are a big market in Milwaukee. Black market. Got some black market Milwaukee weeklies here.
Milwaukee's a special. I was in a special. Say I wasn't in the best area of town.
Lined with newspaper like the inside of a bird cage.
Okay. One thing we didn't mention is that each time in this game, it does something
a little
to
extra.
lead you.
I got the family circus on page 5.
To lead you to the next area. Like from the sanatorium, you can find a ticket. That's what leads you to the theater. And as we were talking about the theater, I really like how you go through the theater and the whole time you're trying to get the stage up and running. You got to get the lights on, to get the curtain, to raise the curtain. I like all that you're all trying to bring up the curtain so you can put the scenery down to get this like something to do with a play. Like I thought that was really cool how you go in the other world.
You see play too, which is cool.
And it's all because Alessa once saw a play there.
Wasn't the play Hamlet or something? I know it was Shakespeare.
It was Shakespeare's The Tempest.
Oh, so a bunch of miners?
That's right.
Is that what it was? A bunch of miners writing Tempest?
A bunch of miners doing The Tempest, yeah.
Nobody? Everybody's just ignoring my joke here? Come on. I'm hurt.
This is a very cultured town.
But, I mean, I didn't care for the Caliban boss because I never either. Your Caliban boss, the boss you fight in the theater, also is a boss that becomes a regular enemy later on where I just run away from and never bother to fight, which I think is also supposed to be roadkill. No, never mind. Caliban is something that Alessa saw when she was at the play. That's what that is.
He is a character in The Tempest, is what he is.
So it's in the beginning, you get a note, and it's like, hey, the Caliban is hidden in the cave, or something like that. You know, I think it might have been a note for the movie or the play. And that's probably the monster that you saw. And that's why you have to set up the set piece as the cave and then get everything to actually unlock it.
I did think that was cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting concept for an enemy. Because it comes straight from the play, and it's like their interpretation of... It's like the Silent Hill acting troupe's interpretation of the play that scared Alessa because it reminded her of a dog, and she thought it was like a dead dog that was still alive somehow. And that's like, in her mind, she like ruined the play. She gave the guy a headache and a nosebleed, and that ended up becoming like a figment of Silent Hill because it was just a fear that she had imagined.
Okay.
Which I think is more explanation for any sort of enemy in Silent Hill we've ever gotten, but it's a really good one, so I'm fine with it. Like, you don't really get... I think the like dark like babies in the first or second game that run around with knives, you get a little explanation for what they are, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. They do.
Yeah, but I don't know. I really liked how the Caliban came to be. It's a cool enemy, and it's a interesting backstory to that enemy.
Yeah, the writing in this game is actually it's pretty good for a Silent Hill game. It's pretty
good. It's pretty good for a Silent Hill game. It's good at
pretty good anyway.
It's good at capturing that Silent Hill weirdness and creepiness and kind of doing more with it. The writing is definitely where this game excels.
Mm-hmm.
I really did like I liked a lot of things about this game. I did enjoy the fucking weird ass monsters and everything too. I didn't fight them. I ran. I mean, one thing you like, I know we kind of touched on a little bit. You can run from almost everything in this game if you want to. Like, you don't have to fight.
Yeah, the corridors are built specifically like super big for some reason, whereas in like Silent Hill 1 and 2, they're really tight, so you have to kind of fight everything. I'm not sure why they did that. I think they just wanted you to use more of those useless weapons that you find everywhere. Possibly.
I mean,
kick them in the dick.
They break really easy too.
You know, it doesn't break. Fucking dick kicks. Can't break your foot. I guess you can, but
you can't break your foot.
Yeah, but not in this game. You guys steel toe boots on. You're a trucker.
The punching. I mean, I think you can kill every boss by punching them if you had to too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you absolutely could.
I mean,
the Calibans, like, they can fuck you up, but if you figure out their pattern, they're not bad at all.
Everything can fuck you up really bad. I mean, I did a lot of shooting in this game. Oh, I only shot bosses. Like, everything else, I used melee weapons when I did fight, but you can use a lot of fucking ammo, too, in this game. Like, when I fought Mama and I fought Caliban, I would just unload tons of bullets in these bastards. Oh, yeah. Too much. Like, I was like, okay, that's a little too much shooting here. Like, this isn't necessary. Like, this is not the kind of game where I collect all this ammo just so I unload it on the boss. Like, I didn't. Well, that did bother me.
Didn't Mama take like 35, 40 bullets or something crazy like that?
I didn't count, but it was a lot, and I thought I was missing.
But yeah, I think it was 35.
Because she screams when you hit her.
Yeah, it's a rough fight. But it's not like it's not undoable. It's you figure out her pattern, and it's it's definitely a doable boss fight. It's not like some crazy shit where it's like all of a sudden the game is 10 times harder. That's how I felt anyway. I didn't think the boss fights were like that difficult.
No, it's like run the corner, shoot. It's like 1-2 kick. Yeah.
1-2 kick in the dick.
Kick in the dick. I'm gonna have trouble going to play any other game now. Any game that has like a kicking melee attack.
Well, there is one game which it'll be a little while before we can have it on the show, but I really want to, called Breakdown for original Xbox, which is a first-person shooter where you can punch and kick. Yeah. It's really cool, but it's only on original Xbox, so we have to have other ways to play it eventually. But it's on my list someday.
Well, I've got Xbox 360, so
it's not playable on that.
It's gotta be. It's got Xbox 360 had backwards compatibility.
Yeah, but I don't know if that one is.
Yeah, not all games were ever fully made backwards compatible.
We might have to play it through
a lot of them, but yeah.
Other means. So
make it happen, Microsoft.
Okay. And after you finish fighting the Caliban, and that's when you end up going to the last place of this game that I want to. Well, the last real dungeon before you go to the ending. We go to the Riverside Motel. Was the motel in other Silent Hills too?
Yes, I was actually playing Silent Hill 2 before we did the podcast, and I walked right by it. It looks almost exactly the same.
It's
not bad. Yeah.
It's I think oh man, I don't know if you go to it in any other game.
Okay.
But you definitely see it in other games.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird.
In Silent Hill 2 though, it was different. Wasn't it like the Lakeview Hotel?
There's Old Town Silent Hill, and then there's New Town Silent Hill. So one of them has a different motel, I think, than the other. Is what it is.
Let's just assume they're the same.
Yeah.
Man, I gotta say, this little town, only 600 people, has a lot of shit in it.
Yeah, it's got a whole fucking hospital. It's got a fucking theater. It's got a sanatorium. It's got multiple hotels. It's got several bookstores and general stores, and it's like
a strip club.
This is the only place that was marked for commercial use in all of Pennsylvania. So they have to just put everything there. Everywhere else in Pennsylvania is residential. It's 99.9% residential, one mine and Silent Hill. That's it.
I mean, the motel is when I also started realizing more of the fucked up story that happens in here. Like, this is when you find out more. Like, this is when you start really realizing that Travis has been in Silent Hill before. At least I started realizing it because I wasn't reading any notes.
Well, this is like, it's a fucking slog to get to that motel, too. We should mention that. Because you gotta go from the theater through Silent Hill, through, like, the bookstore, and then a general store, and then you get to
the apartments.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, there's actually a really cool thing you can do on the way there that kind of doesn't make it a slug, but it's just a neat little thing, is that on top of the post office, which you can go to, there are cocoons there, which, if you guys remember Silent Hill 1, that's where you fought the giant moth.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a neat little, like, I was like, oh my god, that's cool. They got the lore.
I didn't go up the... I mean, I didn't even know... I didn't go by the post office. I only went to certain places where the guy told me to go where it had items, and the other one I didn't care.
Which is for the best, because it's easy to get lost.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why I won't play horror... I don't play minigames without a guide in general, especially a game like this. I have to have a guide, because I'll get really frustrated. Like, if I would have lost an hour worth of progress, like what happened to Adam in the sanatorium, yeah, I would have had a hard time coming back to the game. It's just that kind of...
It's just like, can you fly there? What's going on?
Well, one of the Riverside Motels puzzles drove me insane because, all right, doing the whole thing, you get into that one hallway where you can peek into the rooms. And that's like part of the puzzle is like there's a note on the wall when you look in. And I didn't know, I just thought like walking down those hallways, they were just pipes like with broken and had like light coming through. So as I'm trying to figure out this puzzle, I'm going insane, going backtracking. And then finally I realized you can look in one. And I think the one I happened to look into is like one of the only kind of like jump scares in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, son of a bitch, I'm not looking in any of these other ones.
You know what's scary? You can go ahead and explain it, Adam.
Okay.
Well, which one?
The jump scare.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, the one I saw was when you look in one, the butcher's standing there in the room, and then if you look away and you look back in it again, then he's gone. It's like he's been chasing after you this whole time. Is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Then there's one of Lisa and I think you just see Lisa doing drugs.
Yeah. You find her and Kaufman in a room filled with drugs and like some weird tension.
Yeah.
They were having sex, 100%.
Like, didn't fancy running into you in this only other place in this town.
Wasn't there a motel in the first Silent Hill 2 that you went to that you found drugs at?
Yeah. I think that was the Lakeview Motel. But they might have meant to be the same motel. They might be the same motel. Fucking might have.
Well, after big murders and drug use, you just kind of want to rebrand yourself.
They changed it from Riverside to Lakeview.
Yeah.
Well, the river dried up, so all that was left was a lake, and they were like, well, fuck it, we got to rename the motel.
Yeah.
Crystal Lake was taken.
The Crystal Lake Motel. In the middle of Silent Hill.
Okay, I didn't
Jason Voorhees shows up, and he's just like, he feels at home for the first time in his life.
I didn't get the butcher. Like, I looked through those windows too, but the game had said you get a jump scare, and I didn't see anything. That's why I was really curious. I looked through all of them, but there was nothing there. But that makes sense now.
Yeah, and then you can look at them again in the other world, and it's just hanging bodies.
Oh,
yeah.
Is that before or after you kill the butcher?
After.
Before. Is it after?
Because I'm wondering if it's
after.
before you kill the butcher, you get the jump scare, and after you kill the butcher, you don't get it. I'm wondering if that's the case.
Probably.
Anyway, you kill the butcher.
Yeah, Adam's right. I think you go back down that hallway in the other world, and then it's different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because like the butcher is a cool fight too. Well, kind of. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
He's kind of a doofus, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I got him too, where you could trap him around the corner. If you walk around the table, you can get him just to get stuck on the table and just shoot him and just let him. And after a while, he'll unstuck himself, but it'll take a while.
He's no tyrant.
Unstuck himself.
But,
I mean, he did put a sword through me, but.
Oh, he killed you? Or?
No, he put a sword through me, and I just drank a health drink, and I was back to
normal. That's how that works.
Oh, yeah.
Just take out a little first aid kit. Like, in the middle, you, time out, and you pull out your first aid kit. And you're like, hold on, I gotta drink this shit real quick. Like guts are falling out of your stomach, just drinking a 7-Up. I'll be
just
fine.
So you know, when I get my intestines back in me, you're getting old 1-2 kicking.
Yeah.
1-2 kick in the dick.
Just imagine the butcher like staring down at his crotch, like looking uncomfortable. You see like a twinge of regret in his eye.
When I first saw the butcher, I thought it was Pyramid Head or a reference to Pyramid Head at first.
Well, he has the Pyramid Head, like he's Pyramid Head in every sense, except he doesn't have the Pyramid Head. He's got the butcher coat, he's got the big sword, he's got like the big muscular, like scarred body.
But like in Homecoming, he wasn't known as Pyramid Head, he was known as Judgment.
Yeah.
And so I just figured every Silent Hill has their version of what is now known as Pyramid Head, just with a different name.
There is this really cool comic book that explains that Pyramid Head, when nobody's in Silent Hill, he goes into this other world where he just stands on this pedestal and waits. And then as soon as somebody enters Silent Hill, he's allowed to leave. So I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of cool, but yeah.
It's one of those things where like they changed the rules about Silent Hill, and so Pyramid Head is a bunch of different things to a bunch of different people. So like in Silent Hill 2, when he was introduced, he was meant to be like the representation of oh god, what's the fucking guy's name in Silent Hill 2?
James Sutherland.
James Sutherland, yeah. It's like he's meant to be a representation of his like sexual frustration, like it's a desire to just fuck some nurses. And then in this game, it kind of implies that Pyramid Head was just like the town butcher who became a monster.
Well, it looks like
and
it's
then
supposed
became
to be
some like supernatural creature.
Travis's inner rage and pent up anger.
Correct. Yeah. Because if you guys remember, when you're going around the town, I think it's after every boss or after you leave every place, you pick up a photo and it'll have a picture of a woman dead in some way. So her throat will be slit, her wrists will be slit or something. And the intention that I got was that Travis killed people. And that's what the bad ending would be, is that he killed people.
Yeah.
And he did get the insanity from his mother or whatever, the hereditary insanity.
I think the next boss fight, in my mind, explains Travis's whole character.
Oh, yeah.
Because the next boss fight, you go to room 500, and you go down this giant fucking shaft to another doorway, and you come across your father hanging from a noose. But he's still alive, like he's like a reanimated corpse. It's a really creepy scene that immediately becomes kind of goofy. Where Richard Brady starts talking. He's like, "Hello, son." You're like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, it's time you faced up to what happened. And in my mind, that meant Travis's mother tried to kill him. Travis's mother was put in a fucking sanatorium, whatever. There's a word for it, and I can't think of what the word is. When you're put into a hospital against your will. What is the word for that? Committed?
Yes.
Yes, committed.
Yes.
When his mother was committed, and then his father killed himself, what I got was like, oh, Travis hates women because in his mind, women are evil because his mom tried to kill him and made his dad kill himself, and like he blamed his mom for everything that happened.
Right, because you find those notes where he says like his dad's like, "Oh, I miss you so much, but I wish I could see you," but he can't. He like goes and visits her, but every time like sometimes she's crazy, sometimes she's nice. It varies. But it eventually makes him want to kill himself. Yeah.
Makes sense with Lisa too, because it's like if Lisa is acting how Silent Hill wants her to act, where she's just like trying to flirt with him and give him this run around and give him non-answers. It makes sense because that would be what Travis's view of what women would be and his hatred of them. It makes sense with him finding all this like he's essentially romanticizing the idea of killing women. Because, I mean, when you come across the butcher the first time, he's flaying that fucking nurse.
And you see him killing a two-back later, which looks like two people having sex running around on horseback. So
that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think Travis has killed anybody, but I think he has definitely thought about it or wants to, subconsciously.
Well, speaking from the isolation of if you were a truck driver, I mean, I had a job once where I drove a truck on third shift, and I drove around and sucked up garbage all night. And being alone and being in that situation where all you have is your radio, I mean, it does things to you, and there's nobody there but you. Like if something went wrong, if I locked the keys in the truck, which I did once, who am I going to call? There's no one to call. There's no one but me. I have to figure it out myself, and it's that isolation, that loneliness, that really can do things to you. And I think that's partly what they're trying to expose the character.
The other part of the isolation comes from, as well as that when he found his dad hanging, he didn't leave the room and tell anybody. He just stayed there with the body.
Which makes sense. I mean, from a standpoint of your body's not able to accept your mind can't accept what's happening, so you change it into a different way. Like, you're like, he's not dead, he's sleeping. Like, I think there's even a comment that's like, he's sleeping, wake up, Dad, wake up. And it's that same idea of a child, or if someone's not really taught what death is, and depending on how your brain works and what you're not going to understand what's happening because you haven't experienced this yet.
Yeah, and his dad even says that in that cutscene. Like, wake up, because I'm not sleeping. Like, you know what's going on.
But it's also that, that hit home for me in one sense, because like with my son, he's autistic, and there was at one point, I want to say he was 7 or so, we had never really taught him what death was, and he saw something dead, like a bird or something simple. He's like, and then we're like, he's sleeping, because we didn't know how to handle it and how to explain it to him, and not even thinking about it. But as as a little bit time went on, he's like, oh, they're sleeping, like, and then it's like, how do you now change, that same idea. At least that's what it reminded me of from a personal standpoint.
Can I say all the tension is taken out of this whole sequence as soon as you learn what the name of the boss is called.
I didn't find out until just now.
So we talked about how like tense and dramatic this scene is. Immediately, the game doesn't tell you this, but if you know what the boss is called, immediately it loses all tension, all drama. The boss that you fight after this is called Sad Daddy.
Oh, I didn't know the name of the boss.
Yeah, Sad Daddy.
Jesus.
It is so funny to me that it's like you talking to your father about all this like subconscious hatred and just like complete inability to let go of the fact that your father killed himself. And he's like, and now I become Sad Daddy.
Sounds like something you'd get off an infomercial.
It does. Are you having trouble with Sad Daddy?
Was Travis from this
3 easy
town?
payments of $19.99.
Or was he just visiting this town? Did that ever...
No, he was in the town when he was younger, is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, he was initially a resident of Silent Hill.
But he has, like, no recollection of it, correct? Like, I mean, I'm assuming all the trauma, which, I mean, I found out personally not too long ago is really fucking real. Like, if you go through a traumatic event, you can't remember. Like, your memory will block it out. Yep. I'm going to tell the story on here. So, totally like, one thing that I have realized, like, with me personally, I can recognize anybody's fucking face. If I saw you at some point 10 years ago and you somehow played a part in my life, even something simple as in, hey, I used to work with you for a week, I will remember you. Like, well, even here in a movie called The Ghostbusters from years ago, and you look different, you walk into my store, I go, hey, that's Mr. Hudson. And I have really good facial recognition. I recognize the guy right away, even though I haven't seen him in a movie in years at this point. And I even ran into a coworker recently that I hadn't seen in years, and I recognized the person had been like 10 years. And it was recently I was walking around, and I ran into my ex not that long ago, and I could not fucking recognize her. And I'm still thinking to this day, was it her? Because of all the trauma and bullshit I went through, like my brain just went, nope, she doesn't exist. You don't know what you're talking about. No person like that in your brain. And I was like sitting here going like, I'm trying to see if I could see her tattoos, but I needed something to say, is this the person? Because I couldn't trust my own memory. And that also made me think about what Travis is going through, because he blocked out all this. I mean, this is much worse than what I went through, but he blocked out everything. Like, he doesn't, like, when you first go to Silent Hill, he doesn't say, hey, that's where my dad died and my mother was at. Like, nothing. He just like, oh, I got to go past through Silent Hill. I'm in a rush. Like, I thought that was an interesting take.
Yeah, that's how I took repression's absolutely a real thing. And repression's weird because, like, your brain will forget traumatic experiences. But you also, it's one of those weird things where it's like, you don't remember that you don't remember something.
Oh, yeah. Like, after it happened to me, and I went through, and I saw who I'm pretty sure at this point was her, all of a sudden, everything came flooding back to me, and things I completely forgot that I forgot. And I'm like, what? It just shows you what trauma, like, I thought it also kind of connected with this game, that what trauma can do to you in real life.
Mm-hmm. Human brains are weird.
Yes, they are. But at least I don't have a dad named Sad Daddy, so I'm okay.
Sad Daddy. Sad Daddy, his like attacks are really creepy too, because he'll choke you, but just like it's even creepier. Like the fact that you find him in a noose and then he's trying to like strangle you to death is even creepier to me.
And also, like, this is another story I want to say, but like every time I hear the word daddy, it at one time, like let's say here 5 years ago, it didn't mean anything. Okay, it didn't mean the weirdness that it does to me now. I used to have a friend who was dating this girl, and for some reason she started calling him daddy.
My God, Mike.
And I remember when he first told me they were on the bus, she's like, daddy, and he just looked at her like, what are we doing? And everyone else in the bus looked at him too.
And then he was a sad daddy.
He was sad after that.
What's up, sad daddy? Oh God, that's like playing with like layers of fetishism that is just so confusing.
And it just I remember that, and ever since then I can't see it the same way. And then also when me and Tiff went on a double date once with a friend of hers and this other idiot guy, one time he heard him, he's like, Daddy doesn't like this, and I just looked at him and was like, well, what the fuck?
He said that?
Yeah, she called herself Daddy. And I'm just like, get me out of here. So we never went to date with them again. So.
I always say, this is my general rule. Do it. Whatever the fuck you want to do behind closed doors, do it. I don't give a shit. As long as like no one's getting hurt and everyone's consenting.
Add that in there real fast.
Add that in. But like for whatever reason, with certain fetishes, people are like, I'm bringing this into a public space. Like when you see somebody in a cafeteria, happens so much, and I don't know why this is the case. You'll go to like the mall and you'll be in the food court and you'll see this is 100% a thing I've seen several times. This is not just a random example. Like a guy wearing a collar and a girl holding the leash. It's like, that is not food court area. That's like, that doesn't belong there. I don't give a shit what you do, but like
thing? Or if I go to the Mall of America, I've never seen this. I mean, I've seen weird shit, but
I've seen it several times at several different malls, which makes it sound like I go to the mall all the time. It's just the mall always happens to have weird people in it.
Mall rat.
Yeah, I've seen this several times, and I always think the same thing. It's like, this is a sex thing, and we're in a public space with children. Maybe don't do your sex thing in public with children around.
I think it's a simple rule that obviously gets broken so often.
If it's at all sexual, don't do it in front of kids at the mall food court. That isn't the space for it. And like, I get it. Do your thing in your own place. And some people are like, no, the world should know. And it's like, yeah, maybe the world shouldn't know about every single thing. Just fucking.
Yeah, that's one of those things where, I mean, we all have our thing, but don't bring it to the mall.
There's like acceptability, and then there's shoving it in someone's face. And it's like, yeah, you're in a mall food court. Whatever you're doing there, you're shoving it in people's faces.
Yeah. Is it just a Virginia thing, or what? I mean, I just...
Oh, Virginia's fucking weird, man.
Adam, do you agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100% true.
It's not often I have two people from Virginia, so I figure I go... Well, I always have one, but I figure, I have another one.
Yeah.
Virginia's fucking weird.
Didn't you say Virginia's close to like the place that Silent Hill's based off of as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Silent Hill's based in Centralia, Pennsylvania, which isn't too far. Okay. I thought about going a couple times, but I don't think you're allowed in anymore because the town itself is like collapsing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like the actual town is collapsing into the earth. Like the mine itself is collapsing and everything's sinking. There's like sinkholes opening up all over the town. I don't know the extent to how much it's collapsed. I haven't looked into it recently.
Field trip.
Yeah, no one's
talking about. We were talking about this
going, and I know as soon as I go, I would be outside, and all of a sudden I'd hear an air raid siren, and I'm like, "Wow, fuck me."
I always wanted to go to Chernobyl, but I'm like, I'm gonna get cancer if I go to Chernobyl. But I really want to go.
You might get arrested. Plus, you got to travel across different countries.
What, to go to Chernobyl?
Yeah. Well,
no,
it's not in
paid
America.
tours. You can just pay to go in there. I mean, I could be a stalker. I could legitimately be a stalker and sneak in. But if I get caught by the military, they're probably gonna shoot me.
All you gotta do is get a red hat, and you should be okay. They'll be like, "Oh, hey, you're one of us. Come on in."
You're one of us. Yeah, a random white guy from Virginia. I've got to really break out my Kievan accent. Oh, Governor Ukrainsky. And they're like, yeah, we know you speak Ukrainian.
Yeah, you have to
start.
It's weird that other soldier can only say, I speak Ukrainian in Ukrainian.
It's weird that you have to start introducing yourself on the show. You have to start introducing yourself on the show as Stuart Straylock.
Yeah, my name is so fucking hard to say in like the Russian Russianization of it. Stuart, yes.
All right, I think I.
There's no like ooh, really. There's only Hughes. Oh God.
So Adam, since you love the other world so much, do you want to talk about what happens after we leave the frickin' hotel and all after you kill the sad daddy?
After you kill
the map that you get with from the little girl.
Mm-hmm.
We like maps so much, or not grabbing maps, I should say.
Hey, this map actually helped me because it was drawn out. There was a red line telling me where I needed to go.
I like that.
It made so much sense. I love this map, but yes, essentially the whole town's in hell, and a whole other world, and you get this little map, and it's a child's drawing, all in crayon, and it's just like follow this line, go around here, go into this hole, and then you have this fucking. So you do it, dodging all the monsters around, and you get in this hole, and you crawl for about 28 minutes at the slowest pace ever.
The entirety of Snake Eater plays.
Yeah.
I'm still in love with Travis Grady.
And then I think that's
a fog. The thing that shows the town. Silent Hill.
Sorry.
But yeah, I really didn't adventure much outside of that. I followed that line to a T.
I tried. You can't go very far.
Oh, okay.
So not just you. The game tells you no if you try.
Well, yeah. After you get there, like the cutscene is fucking awesome. I think.
I took a screen capture. I think of her coming out of the building.
We didn't talk about the hospital is like the weirdest hospital name ever. It sounds like something It sounds like something that would be in a anime from Japan about like for whatever reason, anime has this weird obsession with like 1919 Germany, like that kind of aesthetic. Oh. And the name of the hospital is the Alchemilla, which sounds like a very like Alchemilla. Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be like alchemy, but then Milla, alchemia.
Alchemia.
The Alchemia or whatever. Alchemilla.
Just whatever. How say it in Italian accent. Alchemia. Alchemia. Yeah. I don't know.
Ooh, it's a very odd like metropolitan art. Like I don't know. I wouldn't call it Art Deco. Like everything in Silent Hill kind of has that Art Deco look to it, but that hospital is just like it's so odd. And Alessa Gillespie comes out of it and starts like fucking floating, and it's like a scene. It's like something out of Star Wars. Like she floats, and like the steps of the fucking hospital are floating up with her as like the overworld or the other world starts like spilling out into Silent Hill. I fucking love that cutscene.
That was an awesome scene and then she's like, "You freed her," or something. She says, "Their mother."
You freed her, and she's not. It's ambiguous as to whether or not she's talking about Alessa or Alessa's dream, which is like a demon thing that like amplifies her powers.
It was
really I think what it is that she was finally able to split herself in two, and then the god inside the box is what was it? Oh, you know what? I lost my train of thought.
That's Alessa's dream, is the god, the creature in the Floros.
The most stereotypical looking demon monster of all time.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing after like all these crazy monsters that it's like a gargoyle without wings, essentially.
But he takes a lot of hits too. Like again,
he does.
All the bosses are just fucking bullet sponges in this game, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The demon got stuck in the wall for me.
It really was like a complete anticlimax.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
I wouldn't have minded that though.
I don't know. It's the weakest boss fight thematically of the game, which kind of sucks. Like the introduction is so cool. Alessa floating and like the other world ripping itself out around her. It's awesome. And then you fight the fucking like gargoyle thing that has like a. I was looking at the wiki and said it might be like a spider or a moth, because Alessa's obsessed with moth and spiders and shit. on a humanoid body with like claws and shit.
I thought it was supposed to be the same god that you fight in the first game.
The Incubus.
Yeah.
Similar, but I think they're different entities.
I have different names because it's Samuel in this game and it's Incubus in the first game. But that
in this game it's just called Alessa's Dream. It doesn't have a name.
I thought it was called Samuel.
Maybe
my guide. I think my guide said Samuel. Let's find out.
I don't know where that's coming from.
Okay. It could just be me. I'm actually really tired of them. So maybe I'm just
Samuel, just a guy.
Well,
Samuel, watch out!
I feel like Samuel's a demon from like Bible.
Samuel.
What am I talking? I never read the Bible. What am I?
I thought it was like Sam.
Yeah. SAMMANEL or something like that.
Samuel Hadida was the producer on the Silent Hill movie.
All right, so you fight the big red demon.
Alessa's Dream.
Yeah, Alessa's Dream. I mean, that was he wasn't that bad. Like, he'd shoot fireballs at me, and I just didn't care. I just unloaded. You get a fucking assault rifle in this game, which we didn't talk about yet.
I was just about to say, I used that to unload on him.
And the Magnum. The Magnum was really awesome, too.
Oh, and how did you get the assault rifle? From a cutout army stand in a bookstore that happened to have a loaded functioning assault rifle as a prop.
So and this game takes place in Texas. What you're trying
to stand looks exactly like Travis too, by the way.
Look, this game is in real life. Centralia is in Pennsylvania, but I think we've said a couple times that like in the game, I think they think Silent Hill is like in either Maine or Virginia. I've heard both.
I've heard West Virginia.
At West Virginia, like you can't tell me. You can't tell me
that's
that.
Silent Hill.
It's probably easier to find a real AK than it is to find a toy prop.
Yeah, you could definitely find a real assault rifle anywhere in Virginia. Definitely in West Virginia.
Are you speaking from experience?
Let's see.
What is Virginia? So
I can say 100% that yes, it's easier than it should be.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I did like. I mean, you get the assault rifle, like you said, you get a Magnum. You find the Magnum inside the hotel, which I didn't really use. Like, I had like 10 bullets. Like, oh, this will be enough to take out the final boss. Yeah, I was wrong. He took all my Magnum shells. He took a bunch of my assault rifle shells. I was like, what the hell here? I mean, that's one of my only issues with this game was the bullet spongy bosses.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I don't have a.
Desperately looking up Sam L.
But did you see the thing I posted in the chat?
Final boss and Sam L.
That's from the guide.
That's wrong.
Okay.
The guide is wrong. There is Samuel, or however you say it. And that's in the comics. I don't know if anywhere in the game they call it Samuel.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think that's only in the comics.
I would say I remember it in any of the notes, but that would be
because in the comics there's like a goat-headed like gargoyle demon called Samuel. I don't know how to say it. Samuel.
I'm sure it's from the Bible or something though, like that name.
Yeah, that's a biblical name.
Yeah.
All right. And then we talk a little bit about each time you beat a boss, you get a little red pyramid item thing, which is what is that trying to like unlock Alessa's power or something?
I'm trying to remember who Samuel was in the Bible now.
I think because as soon as you put that puzzle piece together, that's when I think shit really. Well, that's when Alessa's dream opens up.
Yeah, because you stop the ritual of what they're doing, trying to actually summon that god that they're using Alessa for when they burned her.
Okay, this is the same ritual they're doing in Silent Hill 1, right? All the years later.
So so they have to do it again, which is why at the end you hear them talking and they're like, "Oh, well, we'll get her back. We'll get her back here."
Yeah, I know. Okay. I remember what Samuel was in the Bible. Sorry, Samuel was. This is actually slightly interesting because a lot of people think that in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve that the devil was the snake, but that's not actually like that's just kind of like a misrepresentation of that story. if I remember correctly, Samuel was the one who engineered the fall of Adam and Eve, but he was like a horse and not a snake. That's how it actually. That was like the actual translation. It's one of those weird things where like it was translated poorly, and people will just get it wrong constantly. Like everyone thinks Moses like threw down his staff and it turned into a snake. It wasn't actually Moses. It was his brother Isaac. It says in the Bible that it was his brother Isaac. It's one of those weird things that like people have just gotten wrong over the years.
They also bring 7 of each animal on the Ark and not 2.
Yeah. Well, also brings back to my one of my favorite quotes. If you tell a lie and big enough and say it enough times, people will start to believe it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, like one of the things that people thought, like one of the reasons people thought Moses' staff. So one of the reasons that people thought that Moses' staff turned into a snake was the fucking Disney movie about it.
Prince of Egypt. Prince of Egypt.
Yeah, because Isaac doesn't exist in Prince of Egypt. It's just one guy.
Well, wasn't the Bible translated through 3 different languages till it finally got to English?
Yeah, it went from Latin to Greek to Roman to English.
Yeah, so you could lose a lot in that translation.
Yeah. Some of those things were like, they changed, like, theology changes like every 2 years because someone decides the translation is different, or like, oh, we went back to the Latin version, it says this, but the Greek version says this. And there was no word for snake in Greek or some bullshit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we should talk about the ending of this game.
I don't want to.
Episode.
Which one?
Well, yeah, I only saw the good one because I forgot to watch the other 2 before we recorded this episode.
So I'm going to talk about my favorite ending.
Sure.
And that's when you get to leave with the dog on a UFO.
Yes. Okay. We talked about this in Silent Hill too. Silent Hill has amazing UFO endings that don't make sense and are the perfect weird ending to the fucking game.
Yeah.
Well, there's always a weird ending in every game. I think Silent Hill 2 starts with a dog with a little Shibu or something. That's in that's in the endings.
Yeah. Don't you? How do you get the UFO ending in this game? Because it's like
you beat the game.
I'll let Matt. Joker ending of Silent Hill Origins, and then you get it.
That's it. That was good. That was good, Ab. You beat the game. I think you have a key in your inventory, or you get a key from somewhere, and then you open a room that was previously locked at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
I did look up the UFO ending, which was fantastic. It's like
he goes with a dog.
It was which has a name now, Mira.
I don't know.
Yeah, Mira the Shiba Inu, and an alien, and for some reason it's like a cartoon animated version, and for some reason Travis is like way stockier and shorter than he was in the game. He's like in the game he's like 6'3" jacked. In the UFO animated ending he's like 5'5" and probably like 250 pounds. All of a sudden,
he had a bad day.
It's like way chunkier.
Better representation of the character.
I like that it has like a dumb joke in there too, where he's like, they're like, he's like, where's my truck? And they're like, it's on our home planet. Can I drive? Only if you can drive stick.
Really in the ending?
Yeah, that's the UFO ending.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
And he goes.
And then I know there's also a bad ending. Anybody go and Google the bad ending?
I got the bad ending.
Yo, how many?
Oh, you killed 200 enemies?
I killed everything. 1-2 kick in the dick.
My God.
I killed everything.
God, you must have been saying that.
Yeah, why do you think it's been stuck in my head? I killed fucking. I don't know. I lost count. I don't know how much I killed, but I killed like every.
Did you take a picture of your ending screen?
No. Because I was just happy to be done with it.
The other 3 of us took pictures of it.
Well. I didn't know. Was I supposed to do shit?
Yeah.
That's
okay. But yeah, it tells you how many people you killed. But you have to kill at least 200 for the bad ending.
Yeah. I didn't take a picture of it, sadly.
And
I killed that shit.
Just to be clear. Yeah, just to be clear, I killed 14 enemies in the game, and I think Mike killed 9.
And I have Adam's here too.
Yeah,
Adam has his too.
What we said early on.
See, total enemies killed using, and then I have a blank, and it just says 2. And then total enemies killed using blank, and then it says 10. And then total enemies killed using blank, 0. So that's, I don't know if it helps or not.
Perfect.
12.
Well, as a joke, we were talking about this game on Monday. For For those who don't know, we record on Sunday, so we were talking about it last Monday. And it was like a joke, like Stefan jokingly said, like it would be funny if we all got different endings. And in my head, I was like, well, I'm just gonna fucking kill everything. I'm going for that bad ending. So I don't know how many enemies I killed, but I tried to kill pretty much every enemy I came across, which was very fucking annoying. It was very hard.
Well, one, there's a lot of enemies in this game.
Yeah, you have to pretty much kill everything on the street. Everything that you got. Which I killed like 3 Calibans in a row, and I just felt like giving up.
Jesus.
Well, so you actually were using all the weapons you got, because you get tons of weapons in this game. You've been like, well, I guess it's time to go put this stick to...
I was using on the straight jackets and the aerials. I wasn't using any weapon. I was just punching. Because I was trying to save my weapons because I knew I was going to have to fight bigger guys later. And so if I could kill it by punching, I killed it by punching.
I never use those. When you get the TV, does he just toss it? Because I never used them. Like they're one-hit kills, aren't they?
He hits them in the head with it, or however their body is, and then they just go down.
Yeah.
Okay.
He says,
not one hit. It's not one hit kill.
Okay. Yeah, I never use those.
Yeah. They can get back up.
I did also make that joke in my head every time I killed something with the TV. Just every enemy. Welcome to primetime, bitch.
Primetime, bitch. Yeah.
Just over and over again. I was 1-2 kicking the dick and welcome to primetime, bitch.
Oh, so what is the bad ending? To get back to what I originally was asking and forgot.
So the bad ending is you wake up on a table, and this is I mentioned this earlier. This is where I said we were going to talk about the butcher and Pyramid Head. You wake up on a table, and like you start like seeing the butcher in like visions, like it starts like appearing in visions in your head, and you hear people saying like I'm not your mommy, which is kind of odd. And I'm trying to think now, like the camera's like zooming out, and there's cult members injecting something into you. And I had to look this up because that's the ending that implies that Silent Hill is weird. Because it's like Silent Hill is like all 3 endings take place at the same time. They're all canon. It's like the best way of describing Silent Hill endings. Everything happens.
It's like choose your own adventure.
Yeah, but like you could say like in Silent Hill 1, both the good, or like especially with the cameo in Homecoming, it's kind of like the good ending, the bad ending, and the UFO ending have all taken place at the same. Like it's like 3 different timelines all coalescing. So yeah, they're like injecting a liquid into you, and that's the ending that implies that Travis is actually the butcher and did commit murders, like did kill the people you see in the photos throughout it. Right. And that's where the theory that Travis becomes Pyramid Head comes from. Is that ending?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say the good ending, because that's what I got from what I remember of it. I like the good ending. Like, to me, that made the most sense. Where isn't it he just goes back to his truck and drives off?
Yeah.
Starts his truck up and just drives.
I like that his truck is just there. Like, his truck is still there.
I rolled my eyes so freaking hard when he taps the odometer and it goes down to 0.
Yeah.
I was curious. Oh, God.
I didn't get that.
It's because the game's Silent Hill 0 in Japan.
So
0.
I thought it was kind of like a reference. Either he had a really bad truck, or the fact that he's still not in reality.
I thought he was.
It's all of these things. It's Silent Hill.
I went like he was just resetting his trip. He was like done. I'm over. Time to restart it from back to the
What is this?
Well, it also does the weird thing where like he leaves Silent Hill. Silent Hill is fine. But then, isn't like Alessa in his rearview mirror?
Holding a baby.
Yeah.
Holding Cheryl, right?
Cheryl, yeah.
And it's like, okay, like that's what I mean. Like all endings take place at the same time, because in the bad ending, Travis becomes Pyramid Head. That's assumed, I guess. But like, so Pyramid Head still exists. In the good ending, Travis is the one who put Cheryl with Alessa on the side of the road for the Masons to find. And then because the UFO endings take place in all the games too, you could argue that the UFO endings are also canon.
Yeah.
Silent Hill is weird. Everything takes place. All endings are true.
All right. I think it's you guys ready to move on to listeners' comments, questions, and comments, questions, and memories.
Sure. I hope we've answered them ahead of time.
Some. We'll see what we have. We don't really have a lot of questions, but all right. First question, which isn't really a question about this game, but I'm gonna read anyway. From Vincent, it said, "Which was the one that had very little combat? Was that Shattered Memories? That one sounded interesting. That was not this game, sir. It is Shattered Memories.
Yeah, it is Shattered Memories.
To be fair, you could play this game with very little combat.
I did.
I was gonna say, I did.
Apparently.
I think you could probably kill as little. I guess you could probably kill only the bosses, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what, like 4 or 5 kills at the end of the game?
Yeah.
Bosses actually don't count as kills.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So could you beat this game without any kills whatsoever?
I think you can. I don't remember a single point where I had to kill something to get further in the game.
You don't have to.
I just did it because
it's more convenient to do it.
Yeah.
I automatically killed everything, so I didn't stop to see if I didn't have to kill anything. It's like the most serial killer thing to fucking say.
Yes.
Oh, you mean I don't have to kill people? I've never considered that.
I'm already this far into it.
All right, another question I want to read from Jonathan Persinger. So I remember getting this as a Christmas gift the year it was released. I had fun with it, but I remember the combat being janky, the weapons breaking easily, and finding it really difficult to know where the game wanted me to go next. Especially if you don't take the map.
You are remembering correctly, sir.
It is all true.
Yes.
Another one from Luke said, I got this during a family vacation as a teenager. The problem was even with the PSP's back screen, it was so dark I could barely see it in the car. Still, I like it and did eventually beat it, just not during that vacation. Oh, 100%. Like, this game is a bitch to
I could not imagine trying to play this outside, like, the sun glaring off the screen. That sounds impossible to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even like
brightness a little bit more on my game just to make things easier.
I think the only game I ever played on the PSP, like during car rides, was like the Daxter game, just because it was so bright and like vivid that it was the only game I could fucking see when I was driving, or when somebody else was driving. I wasn't driving.
You were driving? Okay, that
when someone else was driving.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, when I was driving and playing the PSP, that's what I do now. I drive and I play the Switch and I answer emails. And
sounds like in Virginia.
I'm just playing.
You could have got away with it. You're
I'm
moving
just playing
like
a Mario Tennis on my Switch in the passenger seat.
Okay, this is off topic, but I'm gonna mention anyway. I remember one time on Facebook you posted a thing where you were like in like a traffic jam or something for hours.
Oh my god! Jesus, yeah,
and you were like just slowly going insane, more insane as the post kept coming. Like you was just like you were inventing your whole little fictional.
Mind. I was for context here. I was driving from Virginia Beach to Richmond, which is about a 2-hour drive, and I was driving in my truck, which has black seats with no AC, and it was 100 degrees, and I was stuck in traffic. It was supposed to be a 2-hour drive. I was stuck in traffic for about 7 hours.
Jesus.
I wanted to kill myself. Yeah, I kept posting shit on Facebook.
And he just got more and more delirious as the posts kept coming.
Yeah. At some point,
I talked to the neighbors. We're gonna make a farm and this and that. And
yeah, that's what it was. At some point, I was like society has broken down along 64. We are starting our own community. I met a former CPA named Olga. We now have a son together. Our son has grown up strong. It's like over the course of like 3 hours. Our son is 10 now.
He must have not been moving at all, huh?
There was a point where I was sitting completely still for about an hour, and it was so hot. I almost just pulled off to the side of the road. I almost just pulled off and like got out because it was so fucking hot.
Water.
I went through 2 bottles of water, and one was like one that I just had in my car, so it was hot. I was like sweating. My phone was dying. People were just so angry because it was traffic. A
7-hour drive. It's not fun.
That was miserable, and I have no idea what caused it. I saw there was like a skid mark on the side of the road where it looked like somebody might have gone off. But in my head, because sounds bad, but if you've ever been stuck in traffic, you know this feeling. I saw a skid mark off the side of the road, and there was no car there, and I was like, I just waited for 5 hours. What? And no one even fucking died? Bullshit. I
want to see a chalk line.
Yeah, I was like, if I have to wait for 7 hours and 100 degrees, somebody better be fucking dead.
Well, somebody was about to be dead, named Stuart Hughes.
It was miserable. It was, oh god, yeah, that was.
All right.
I need to find those posts or something. Post them again.
All right, got a couple more questions I want to read, and then we'll wrap up here to Shelf or Box. One from Jack Myers said, "I love the Silent Hill series up to like Homecoming, honestly, and this was one game I got no experience with. So once I learned it existed, I decided to sit down and read the plot and watch the ending cutscenes. It is a smaller one, but it seems really rad. But now that I have the ability to play it, I don't know if I really want to, since I've already experienced majority of the game already in some form. I'm gonna say play it. It's still, I mean, I think it's worth it. I think it's definitely worth a playthrough.
Yeah, it's not. If you decided that you've already know the ending, and you just want like a little bit of the scenery and like see some of the stuff and not actually read it, I finished the game in 3 hours and 20 minutes.
It's short,
and that's like without a guide. So
pretty good.
I'm pretty sure you can like just do it, get the experience, and do it in like 3 hours and enjoy it. It's like watching a movie, you know?
Yeah.
I think especially with like, a game like Silent Hill, I say like, just bite the bullet and play it, because so much of Silent Hill comes from the atmosphere, and you still got like Yamaoka giving a shit and putting in some like genuine effort and coming out with some great music.
The music alone, just the intro, and then anytime like you're done with like the major puzzle and you're going to the boss or whatever, there's another good just bop waiting as you walk.
Whenever an enemy shows up, sometimes they'll do like that really hard like industrial slam noise. I don't know how to describe it. It's so intense. It's so good. And then like the industrial pop starts playing when you're fighting an enemy. It's just, it gets the blood rushing. Okay. It's like good workout music if you want to run in a treadmill and imagine that there's like a dog monster chasing you.
Okay, I got some other questions out. I'm going to read our last set of questions that I got. I got a bunch of response actually from a Silent Hill group that I posted in. One, you can relate with this one, Adam. He said, from Jesus. He said, I got lost on the game.
Probably from Jesus, not from Jesus.
It's Jesus, damn it. I know, it's probably Jesus.
From Jesus himself. Thanks for the shout out to Samuel.
This one's from Daniel Rubai. He said, I really enjoyed it. It felt like an old school Silent Hill, but it was just too short. I disagree. It was just long enough. But then I play a game a week and I'm like, short games? Awesome. Sign me up. So I'm a little confused.
It's weird because this is a PSP game. So in my head, I keep thinking like, oh, this is a really long game, but it's just a long game for the PSP.
Yeah.
Like 3.5 hours is a really long PSP game. But in context, it's not that bad.
No, and this one I'm going to read because she has a picture of Taylor Swift as her profile picture. Said played it and finished it and got picked up by aliens.
Nice.
That made me laugh. That's from Taylor Swift.
That was from Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift, listener of the Games Are Mount Found.
I wish.
I don't know. I don't know if I don't really like Taylor Swift all that much. I don't know if I'd be impressed by that.
I like her music a little too much. A little too much.
Taylor Swift. It's so fucking funny if we had Taylor Swift as a guest. Just and this week's Taylor Swift.
I don't think that's gonna happen, sir. But last question I'm gonna read.
Taylor Swift only plays Silent Hill games.
All right, this is from. Well, I'm gonna read two more. This is from Will Stair. He said the sanatorium section of Origin can go fuck itself.
Yeah.
Yep. And I can't read this guy's name because it's not in English. He says, I love it so much. Great combat, a lot of weapon selection, and very creepy atmosphere will make you love this game. Trust me. I did like it.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
Great combat?
No, great. Yeah. I wouldn't say that part, but
we're going to take you up on great combat. But
yeah, other than
atmosphere alone, this game has it in like so much fucking atmosphere. Game is oozing atmosphere.
One last question, and I'm done. I'm turning off this phone. From Joshua Todd said, I enjoyed the story quite a bit. It was like a fusion of Silent Hill 1 and 2, in that it had the same psychological elements combined with the Order and their exploitation of Alessa. I'm not reading the last name. The boss fights were underwhelming, though after so much build-up, they were more or less pushovers. Yeah, other than they bullet sponge, I mean.
It's Gillespie, Mike.
Gillespie. It's Gillette. Alessa Gillette.
It's Hispanic, so it's actually Gillespie.
Oh.
Or no, it'd be Gillespie. Yes, Gillespie.
All right. I think it's time to go to Shelf Box. This has been
All right,
moving
on.
All right.
All right. You know what? Adam, why don't you go first? I'll throw you on.
Because I lost a little bit of interest in the game at Sanatorium. So once again, that place can definitely go fuck itself. But the theater, the ending, nice little tie over. It's an origin story, so you know what's happening, but it's nice to see how it got there. I'm gonna say shelf it. I had fun, and I'm a sucker for Silent Hill games, so it's an easy shelf, and yeah, shelf. I'm done.
Okay. How about you, Stefan?
I could easily just put this on my shelf alone for Akira's music. I love Akira Yamaoka. He is my favorite music producer and composer for video games. But the game itself, it was a blast. This game surprised the shit out of me. To be able to run around Silent Hill portable, oh man, that's one of the greatest things ever.
You actually played this portable too. You played it on a PSP.
Yes.
God. Oh, I thought for a second I lost internet. I'm like, no, are we disconnected? No. But,
I was considering doing the Canadian voice from South Park, like, let me finish. I gotta let me finish.
A heart attack. I literally was like, oh God, I looked at my headphone. I'm like, don't tell me no. And then, yeah.
Okay, I'm finished. No, it has a couple faults. The Butcher doesn't really make sense if you get the good ending. He's just some random weird character they made up that has nothing to do with Travis's psychological fears or suppressions. But yeah, I liked it. I liked seeing more of the cult. I like seeing how it ties to the first game, and I would put it on my shelf.
Mr. Stuart, Master of Unlocking Rants.
Stuart, man.
Yeah.
Stuart, man. I forgot.
So, hands down, this game is going on my shelf. Obviously, it's a Silent Hill game that it's got Akira Yamaoka's music in there, which is fantastic. I think more so, I was not expecting to enjoy this game as much as I did going into it. Like I said, I played it a long time ago as a kid, and I was like, it's okay. It's not like quite as enjoyable as the other Silent Hills I played. And I think I just didn't give it a fighting chance, because that beginning, when you go to the hospital, I think as a kid, I thought that was kind of boring. Going back to it now as an adult, I love that opening. Like the first 3/4 of this game, I think are fantastically paced. They're so good. Look, you go into that burning building and it slows way the fuck down, and you're just exploring the town for a while. And then like even when the monsters come out, like it starts throwing them at you, but you're still just like learning about the town in these like nice like perfectly paced segments. Like the symbolism of the game, the music of the game, the atmosphere is so fantastically Silent Hill. And I think that short length of the game really works in its favor. I think I would go back and play this game before playing another Silent Hill, just because it's only a 3-hour game. I could beat this in a game if I really wanted to.
I did beat this in a day. I couldn't stop playing.
I love that about this game. Like this, it's like bite-sized Silent Hill. It's like the perfect little Silent Hill snack. If you don't want to play a full game, then play Silent Hill Origins. Forgot the name of the game for a second, but yeah.
Oh, when you said 3-hour game, what popped in my head was Gilligan's Island, a 3-hour game. Stu went on a trip to Silent Hill.
Oh God,
that's all I got. Yeah, I wish I had more time to come up with a song for that. But that's all I got right now.
We'll figure it out.
Oh, I might have. It's okay. It's going on your shelf.
Yeah, it's definitely going on my shelf. It's a great little. It's Silent Hill light. It captures the essence of Silent Hill. The last bit of the game, it just turns into like a slog, and that cutscene with Alessa is fantastic. It's like my favorite moment in the fucking game. But yeah, just that last boss fight was like so anticlimactic. Despite that kind of is the case with Silent Hill sometimes, though. Like the whole game is great, and then the last boss fight is like, what the fuck's going on? Even in Silent Hill 1, we talked about like that last fight being really weird.
The last boss fight was shitty.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense in the game. So that's a problem that the whole series has in general. But like 90% of the game, fantastic. So it's going on my shelf for sure.
Okay. I'll go last, as I kind of had spoiled right before my turn. I actually beat this game in one day. I just couldn't. Part of it was I wanted to finish it for the show to get done in time, because Monday is always the day I have off where I have time to play before the week. And I just couldn't stop playing. Like, I really, really enjoyed this game, where looking back when I played Silent Hill back for this, our second episode of the show, I didn't really enjoy the first Silent Hill. I beat it, I slugged through it, but this game really grabbed me. One, because I had the ability to save, so it took away some of the fear for me, even though it didn't really matter because this game, even with, there's enough tension in this game, there just is. Just because it's just how any Silent Hill game, but I really, really enjoyed it. Like, I couldn't believe how much fun I was having playing it. I don't know what the hell is going on in the story because I wasn't really reading. I was just playing through the games. I'd get the stuff through the cutscene, get it through, but I didn't read any of the notes, so I missed out on a lot of story. But it was the gameplay and running through the areas and going through the new dungeons that was just captivating me, and I couldn't stop playing. Plus, I had to finish it for the episode. But it's going on the shelf.
Yeah, I told Stu in chat too. I was like, "Oh, Mike likes the game. I think he's been replaced by a snatcher."
I forgot about that.
Mike likes this game.
This was Soul Reaver was my favorite game of the 6 games we played for Spooktober. This would be my second favorite. This is a really good game. I recommend everyone to go out and play it. You can't buy it anywhere. Well, not new because Konami. But there are other ways. Google. You can find ways. Hell, you could play this on your damn phone. Just Google. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. But play it. If you like Silent Hill, play it. It's worth it. All right, going on the shelf for sure. I'm done.
Shelved.
That's shelved.
And if I was replaced by a snatcher, I'd be saying other things. I'd be wearing her. Yeah. So let's just say that.
You wouldn't sing.
I'll buy a little song.
Mike comes in. I love horror. This month is great. I'm changing everything. We're only playing horror games from now on.
Resident Evil?
It would be
Fatal Frame 2.
Let's play Amnesia next week.
I'd have to put my hair back, and I have a lot of sunscreen on then too, and so.
Your bathtub's always full.
It's always full of water. Unless I just disappeared and the water's empty, all right. I think that's enough for this episode. That's ran for over 2 hours. Oh, God. First thing I want to say is I want to thank Adam for joining us today for the second week in a row.
Once again, thank you for having me.
Hey, and I think you enjoyed this game a lot more than the last game.
A little bit, yeah. No blank notes to be found.
That fucking game. First, I want to thank everyone who's been taking the time out to listen to us in October. We had our best month so far in October, which is partly because each month tends to be our next best month. But still, it was awesome. I want to thank everyone taking the time out to listen. And if you are still here and you are still listening to us blabber, do me a favor. There's an episode you haven't downloaded yet. Go and download it. It's gonna be my birthday here in a few days, or especially a couple days from when you heard this recording. And you'd make nothing better for me than just seeing all the download numbers just jump up super high. It makes me happy and stuff.
And then do it again in 2 weeks for my birthday.
Mine's October 30th.
Yeah. Oh, well, it should be happy birthday.
First do it for Adam, and then do it for Mike, and then do it for me.
Actually, Adam's birthday will be 2 days after this episode is released.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, happy birthday, Adam.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
A little note tomorrow, Stefan actually doesn't have a birthday. He fell out of his mom's stomach, much like Zeus fell out of the Titans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have to protect my heel at every turn.
Stefan is 6,000 years old.
So, also, other thing before we wrap this up, I do want to say off topic, but it's actually been almost a little over a year since I had made a post on Facebook where we just started putting together the team to make this podcast. We came up with our name, and it was about a year ago. A little over a year now, but I just thought that was really cool. It's been a year, guys.
On the episode, the post where we all thought that we were going to be on one episode.
Only you thought that. No one else thought that. DJ and Stefan knew what they were signing up for. You're like, sign here? Sure, I'll do on one episode.
Hey, we want a guest once in this thing? Yeah, sure, why not?
Although I will be honest, I thought by now we would have been disbanded. I never thought we would have made it this far. And even Mike knows at one point I was like, I don't know if I'm going to continue going on with the show. And he's like, no, you should do it.
Well, early on, I thought I was going to lose you, and then I lost DJ, and then I'm like, oh. And then I was really getting worried, but then we really have changed our format, and the show is completely, like, the show now and the show in episode, 10 is not the same show. So.
Mm-hmm.
And
so that's why we're ending the show now. Bye, everyone.
No, we are not.
It's canceled.
All right. enough of that. First, I want to say, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you can find games my mom found. Please tell everyone and spread us like we're Silent Hill. Just, find it. We want to seep into other people's brains.
Well, spread us better than Silent Hill. Silent Hill only spread like one town in over 50 years. Spread us like the T-virus.
That's what I get for trying to go with a different joke. I try to come up with a different joke and I just fail.
Please
all right.
Spread us more than Silent Hill spread.
But honestly, just spreading the podcast is the way you can really help support us for now, at least, because we are eventually coming up with shirts. We do have other things in mind. But please, just always let more people tune in to us, and we're going to, we have more things planned for you guys. All right, I've been talking for over 2 hours. I am exhausted. I want to say everyone have a wonderful night, and we will see you next week.
Did you want to do the C-Fact?
Maybe you should have stopped me at some point before.
No, I want to wait till the very end and ruin the climax of the show.
You know what? I don't know. We'll save it for next week.
Are you sure? It's a creepy one.
Yeah, people might not still be tuned in by now after I start the outro.
Tune in next week for a creepy animal C-Fact.
You know what I just realized? For the people that are still here, I never said what game we're playing next week.
No, you didn't.
Oh God!
Did you even plug Bulby?
You didn't even plug Bulby.
Oh my God!
Oh my God, Mike!
The episode is not over. Red alert! The episode is not over yet. We got like another 5 minutes.
Okay, first
that was the bad ending. This is the good ending.
All right, everybody. Yeah, thanks for playing along with our joke. That was the joke ending to the podcast.
Yeah.
We had that planned all along.
This is called Mike running off 6 hours of sleep for some stupid reason because he woke up early to play Metroid. But hey, all right, the game that we're playing for next week's episode was my pick. I decided just to do a little throwback to our first episode. We're going to play Metroid Zero Mission.
Yeah.
For Game Boy Advance.
We should start with Super Metroid and then Silent Hill, and this time we played Silent Hill and then Metroid.
Partly that was by design on my part. It wasn't completely accident. We're also both playing Origin things. Like we played Silent Hill Origin, now we're playing Metroid Zero Mission, which is the origin story of Metroid, or the remake of Metroid 1.
I can't wait to play Resident Evil 0.
Yeah. About that. I'm sorry. I just don't think we're going to be able to do that, Stuart.
Oh, no. I'm so disappointed.
I'm changing that game we had to change next month. It's Resident Evil 0 now.
Oh, God.
It's
so long.
We're done.
That's like a 20-hour game.
Is it that long?
It's long as shit. Well, it's not necessarily that long. It's just like there's so much inventory management that if you're conservative, like Stefan and I are, then it takes at least 3 times as long as anybody else playing it normally.
Yeah, it's bare minimum a 10-hour game. It has to be.
I spend a lot of time playing that game, moving all the items into the central foyer, and so that's like easily 3 or 4 hours right there.
Aren't all the boxes connected?
No.
So, in other words, you're telling me we're never, ever, ever playing this game on the show? Okay, thank you.
Never say never. Maybe there'll be like a month where I'm really, really angry at you and Stefan.
Well, didn't Stefan Platinum Zero?
Yeah.
That's the only one I haven't platinum.
Oh, really? It isn't.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How about Raccoon City? How's that going?
I don't even... What are you talking about?
All right. I think for now, we're going to have the real ending, guys. First, I want to give a shout out to Bulby, a.k.a. Mike Stoney. I don't know if I ever say it right. We have a song Cool Kid Squad from his EP, Bite the Bullet. So please, there'll be a link in the show notes for his show, or his YouTube. God, I am tired. All right. I think this time for real. I think we're far from professional, sir. Far. Okay. Everyone have a wonderful night, and we will see you next week this time. This time for real. We're done. We did everything.
This is the real ending.
Yeah.
Now let's do the UFO ending, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Yes,
oh, no,